stations. Alifuna milona nje. It's an Asian streaming or some shit. I think it's doing like a 24-hour stream, gang. Yeah, it's doing a 24-hour stream, bro.
Triple, triple, triple the layers. Triple, triple for everyone. Stop making embarrassing writing mistakes. Quillbot for Chrome instantly eliminates grammar errors, so your writing is always flawless. And the best part? Its generative AI can even draft you the perfect email. When you use Quillbot, you'll feel confident that your communication is polished and professional. Try it today. It's free.
She means well, but she doesn't know nothing, bro.
Fuck is this fucking...
Everywhere I go, all I ever seem to hear is bang, 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 bang.
I'm gonna use this mosquito net just for the wood chips.
Why the fuck is it lagging, bro? Nunggu boleh. Ada buat nunggu boleh. I think it's crazy that some parts of the world, dog, it's actually daytime, bro. Right here, dog, it's close to 8. How long has he been streaming? The time Ramaphosa does not want Starlink here. Ramaphosa Bulala Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa, you are killing us. You are killing us and you're killing the nation. Shout out, chat. Be sure to get them subs up, man. I'm trying to see what we got.
You're talking $250 per serving.
All right, boo.
I can go buy 6 bottles of Don Julio for $250 at the store. In the club, I can get one full bottle of Don Julio for $250. For $250, I'm gonna get this much drink. I'm gonna get 1 liquid milliliter for $250, and that's in the Texas market. If I go 3 states over, $300, maybe $400,
That's
depending on
crazy.
how big of the idiot in the idiocy it goes. As
It may be scarce out there though.
Shout
It may
out
be a little
Lizard
scarce.
Shorts.
it's scarce and all that shit too,
Thank
but
you
it's
for
still idiocy
subbing,
is still
gang.
involved.
Yo,
And that's
you
why,
guys,
once again, I continue to
I'm
say
getting the
I am
flu,
not
guys. My
addicted
voice
that much
is
to
not
anything.
here,
You're talking
y'all.
$250
shout out
per
Lizard
serving.
Shorts.
I can go buy 6
I'm trying
bottles
to
of
see
Don
what we
Julio
can
for
rap. I'm trying to see what we
$250
can
at the store.
watch.
In the club, I can get 1 full bottle of Don Julio for $250.
I'm trying to see what we
For
can watch. But let's hop in.
$250.
Let's hop in some wildlife. I don't see no animals. I don't see no animal. I don't know why.
Lawton getting dumped by his girlfriend right before their company retreat.
Man. I'm trying to see what we can watch, bro. I'm trying to see what is there. Shout out you guys. Be sure I get them subs up. Road to 2K subs. Or there's something. This is very scary though. So y'all be ready. This is very scary what we're gonna watch. Well, it's not scary,
This
but
game,
if you are sensitive or
You're
you
not
are
ready
afraid
for
of
it.
blood, gang, I would not advise you to watch this. Well, I advise you to watch this because, yeah, you gotta watch this. It's my channel. Guys, like, my voice is gone, y'all.
22 plane incidents, 7 levels. I've spent hours gathering the most disturbing plane incidents ever into one iceberg. We'll start with the unnerving and work our way down to the catastrophes so shocking you'll never board another plane again. Level 1. Out of gas. In July 2025, a routine approach to North Perry Airport turned into a nightmare when a Cessna ran out of fuel above a suburban street. The aircraft was nearing the end of a long journey from the Caribbean, carrying a family of 4 just miles from the safety of the runway. However, as the plane descended over the Pembroke Pines neighborhood in Florida, the rear engine sputtered and died. But this wasn't a mechanical failure. It turns out the pilot had incorrectly calculated the aircraft's range and had run out of fuel, effectively turning it into a 3,000-pound glider over a densely populated residential
Bro, that's
area.
crazy, bro.
The plane started to bleed altitude at an alarming rate, struggling to stay airborne as it drifted toward the rooftops of Southwest 14th Street. However, the situation was further complicated because the plane was overloaded by more than 500 pounds. So once the power got cut, the extra weight made it impossible for the pilot to maintain a stable glide path. The plane was headed for the street, and the people had no choice but to watch as this massive hunk of metal narrowly missed several homes before its wings clipped a tree and smashed into the road. In fact, the impact was so intense that it scattered wreckage across the entire street, leaving the fuselage mangled and the family trapped inside as fuel leaked onto the pavement. Luckily for them, the impact also made a thunderous sound, so much so that people rushed from their homes to act as first responders. They
That's
worked
crazy,
frantically alongside the police to pull the mother, father, and their 2 daughters from the wreckage before the aircraft could catch fire.
That's crazy, bro.
In the end, all 4 people on board miraculously survived the impact. However, the crash did reignite controversy regarding the safety of North Perry Airport, as this wasn't an isolated incident and was one of dozens recorded in recent years. It prompted local officials to demand a safety study of the facility, resulting in a community-wide push for stricter regulations on smaller aircraft that fly over Pembroke Pines.
Shout out, y'all. Be sure I get them subs up, bro.
emergency
Get
lever.
outside.
A routine descent from Jeju Island was 3 minutes from touchdown when the cabin was thrown into madness. The Asiana Airlines Airbus A321 was just 700 feet from the ground on May 26, 2023, when out of the blue, a passenger seated at the emergency exit pulled the lever.
What?
Now, winds at those heights are over 170 miles per hour and wouldn't let the door open
Guys, my
so
voice is gone,
easily.
y'all.
Yet the door swung wide open, causing the cabin pressure to drop rapidly. And what followed was
Shout out
utter
to Toto.
mayhem as passengers gripped their armrests, struggling to breathe while resisting the wind. But the plane was heading to the ground, so the pilots
Brody.
held onto the yoke and did everything in their power to maintain
Bro, like,
control
nowadays,
against
dog, I'm
the
more
drag.
tired for some
Luckily,
reason,
since they
bro.
weren't too
Like,
far
I know
up, they
I'm
were
so
able to
fucking
fight the
tired,
wind
bro.
and bring the jet to a safe yet chaotic landing on the Daegu runway. The investigation later revealed that the mid-30s suspect had been suffering from extreme stress after losing his job and felt a sudden sense of suffocation. And for him, the fastest way to escape the cabin was to just open the door mid-flight. In
Alright,
the end, 12 passengers were treated for hyperventilation, with 9 requiring hospitalization. The man was arrested immediately and faced up to 10 years in prison. The interstate. When people in Brevard County hopped
Around
onto the
10 years,
interstate to
opening
go
the door,
home,
bro.
the last thing they expected to see was a plane heading toward them. On December 8th, 2025, a fixed-wing Beechcraft 55 was cruising at altitude
that's a
above the
couple of months ago,
I-95
bro.
evening traffic when it had an engine problem. And now, the pilot had no choice but to aim for the crowded highway below. Within moments, the quiet evening turned into a nightmare for the commuters. The plane bypassed dozens of cars before slamming directly into the roof of a moving Toyota Camry. The impact was so intense that it crushed the vehicle's frame, pinning the driver and sending debris flying across the lanes. This forced surrounding drivers to slam on their brakes to avoid a massive pileup. However, despite the violent collision, things didn't get worse as local pastors and a trained nurse rushed toward the wreckage. They managed to pull the trapped driver from the rubble just as emergency crews arrived. But while people initially blamed the 27-year-old pilot for not landing in an empty field, the investigation showed that he had no choice. A sudden mechanical failure had led to zero propulsion, turning the plane into a glider. Surprisingly, the propeller made zero contact with the car, and the 57-year-old driver was taken to the hospital with only minor injury.
Guys, I'm flipping exhausted, bro. Yo, eh. Nah, bro, Friday, dog. I think Friday I'm not gonna stream, bro. Bro, watch game on music. What's that? What's that? Shout out, y'all. Be sure to get them subs up. What's that, bro? What's that? Shout out, Nick UFP. Shout out, Lil Paper. What's that, bro? What's that? Shout out, y'all. Be sure to get them subs up, shit. So flipping exhausted, bruh. That time I just started the stream. Shout out, Lil Paper. Be sure to get them subs up, shit. Be sure to get them subs up, bro. And that better not be music, bro. I'm not trying to watch no music. I ain't trying to listen to no songs. This better not be music. Like, this better not be music, bro. Like, this better not be music. Ah, boy. Awang petela, nang petela straight.
In an empty field, the investigation showed that he had no choice. A sudden mechanical failure had led to zero propulsion, turning the plane into a glider. Surprisingly, the propeller made zero contact with the car, and the 57-year-old driver was taken to the hospital with only minor injuries. The pilot and his passenger also walked away from the wreckage completely unharmed. Level 2. The free fall. The trickiest part of skydiving is making peace with the fall. But for Mike Robinson and his crew, it was the plane next to them. In November 2013, Mike was at 12,000 feet with 8 others on their 2 Cessna 182s. They were poised for their fourth and final jump of the day. But as soon as they reached the steps, the plane above lost its bearings. It slammed onto the roof of Mike's plane, tearing the wing clean off in a fiery explosion. The divers were thrown into a 120...
Man, I'm looking for some animal content, bro. 10 places on Earth no human has ever explored. The Mariana Trench. Oh, that's at the deepest level of the ocean.
1. The Mariana Trench. Nearly 7 miles below the surface of the Pacific Ocean lies the deepest point on Earth, a place more hostile to human life than the vacuum of space.
Nah,
the Challenger
dog,
Deep,
no
at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, has been visited by exactly 3 people in human history. More humans have walked on the moon, more have orbited the Earth, more have summited Everest in a single season than have ever touched the floor of our own ocean. At 36,000 feet below sea level, the pressure exceeds 16,000 pounds per square inch, enough to crush a submarine like an aluminum can. The temperature hovers just above freezing. Perpetual darkness has reigned since the ocean formed billions of years ago. Light.
Man, YouTube, come on, bro. Give me something to watch. Give me something to watch, bro. Come on. Come on, bro. Come on. Give me some. Give me some. Give me something. It should be funny videos. I don't know. Let me see. This prison is worst of the worst. Hold up. No, but then he's gonna tell us which video. I just want to see where this video comes from.
The world's maximum security prison. The world's maximum security.
The world's maximum security prison. Okay. Inside of I. Não better, but I'm phone joke better. Phone joke better.
What you see behind me is the world's strictest and largest prison. This mega prison has a capacity of 40,000. Prisoners here are the most unsafe people you can even imagine.
Hey, man! Yo. Hey, man! What is this, bro? What is this? Hey, man! Hey. Look at this man.
Are the
that
most
man.
Unsafe people you can even imagine.
Yo. Bruh, I would just die the first day I arrive. I would just die. Like, with me entering there in a city, I'm like, I know, dead. Dead, bro. Ain't no way. Look at this guy, bro. Is the guy you're supposed to be sleeping next to? Oh, hell nah.
Imagine how many people's lives have you ended?
Yo.
5 or 10. How many?
More than 50.
MS-13 and many other gangs. These are animals.
Shout out, y'all. Be sure to get them
They're
subs up, bro.
sociopaths, the kind of people we have here.
We are about to see the worst of the worst.
Welcome to CECOM, the world's largest prison by capacity in El Salvador, which was constructed to imprison the highest profile criminals. Those who enter this prison are destined never to leave alive.
There's no way out. How are you gonna come out of this?
The reason why this small country of 6 million needs the largest prison is the gangs. Once dominating the country, these gangs faced a dramatic
MS-13, oh yeah. I once saw a video about how it's like to be like one part of like the MS-13 guys, bruh. This is not bruh.
Crackdown starting in March 2022. Under President Nayib Bukele's administration, over 70,000 individuals, about 2% of the country's adult population, were arrested within just 16 months. Buses transported thousands of chained gang members to Sikot in a tightly coordinated nighttime operation. Sitting one behind the other, heads lowered, they looked like a single mass. Surrounded by armed guards, none of them dared to resist commands. Their life has changed in a day. In this documentary, we will interview one of them, one of the most ruthless gang leaders, known by the nickname Psycho.
10 minutes. You only have 10 minutes.
Built in 2022, this massive prison is made up of 8 separate modules spread over 410 acres of land. Each pair of modules is enclosed by 2 separate 3-meter-high walls with razor wire. The entire facility is surrounded by a towering 9-meter-high wall with a 3-meter-high electric fence carrying 15,000 volts. 19 watchtowers are ensuring nothing escapes notice. The entire design doesn't just prevent escape, it erases the very idea of it. Hello.
Hello, we have permission from the presidency.
The soldiers stopped us. We're hoping this will be the last checkpoint. The jammers blocked all signals within a 2-kilometer radius of Sikot, completely cutting off all communication. Over 600 soldiers work only to secure the perimeter.
That's crazy, bro.
We are gonna leave all of our belongings here before.
Bro, there's a specific prison in South Africa called Postmo Prison. That is the most hardcore prison. Their prison has nothing on theirs, boy. It has nothing on theirs, bro. Like nothing, bro. I just hate how my flipping voice sounds, bro.
Entering the prison. We will only carry our cameras and microphones, that's it.
Pass slowly. Look at the camera. The body scan.
I forgot my wedding ring on.
Well, that needs to be put away over there.
This high-capacity X-ray scanner even shows bones and internal organs. It's mainly used to scan newcomers, ensuring no one tries to sneak in anything forbidden on their body before entering.
The inmates used to swallow some objects, or they would try to bring them in vaginally or anally. Micro SD memory cards, microchips, and not only that, even phone chargers.
Another thorough body search has been conducted.
Take off your shoes.
Watching content.
They even inspected inside our socks.
It
took us around 1 hour just to pass through security, even though we were invited as media after months of applying.
Guards are wearing masks. They're doing a risky job here, so if they get identified, it might be riskier for them to go to town centers because these gangs have a lot of connections, so they have to keep their identity secret. Why don't you wear a mask?
I have to talk to them face to face, looking them in the eye. They already know who I am.
We're in the registration room. This area is for inmates only. When a criminal is captured on the street, they don't carry ID or give their real name. That's why their fingerprints and photographs are taken here to enroll in the system. Once they become a permanent part of Sikot, the inmates lose all contact with loved ones for the rest of their lives, as family visits are strictly forbidden.
No family visit whatsoever, man. That's crazy.
It's also important to note that a small number of innocent people were mistakenly imprisoned during the big crackdown. Because of the no-contact policy, their families have no idea where they are or if they are still alive. For some, this documentary could be their first chance to see a missing loved one. Before entering the modules where the inmates are, we visit the armory of the prison. This section is a must in case of possible riots, and these convicts are the most unsafe people on earth.
The type of firearm we use is a T65 rifle, similar to the M16 rifle. We also have this other firearm, which is a 12-gauge shotgun. A Sig Sauer rifle allows us to maneuver in spaces that are too tight to move.
Whenever criminals are arrested and dragged to the bus, various cuffs and chains are used to restrict their movements and minimize the risk of harm to officers.
Has there ever been a riot?
So far, there have been no escape attempts. We have the worst of the worst within criminal organizations here.
The riot gear consists of a head protection, a face shield, neck protection, an anti-trauma vest, leg protectors, shin guards, and of course, a shield.
Generally, in the prisons, we see inmates invent any kind of handmade weapon, like awls or knives.
They are fully protected. You can see how he protects his feet. Since this prison is so large, we have to hop on this bus.
Yo!
We are entering the module area.
To keep the country safe, 1,000...
This is insane, bro. This is insane. You have the first section of the prison whereby they do the test. They put the prisoners in a scan, all that shit. Then you need to travel. To the actual prison. Now imagine, dog, trying to escape, dog. You first need to maneuver around the 19 towers, and then you must, yo, bro, like, nah, bro. This shit's insane, bro.
And staff members work inside CCOT.
It is impossible, but let's just imagine that an inmate get out of the fortress. These pebbles that you see are put here intentionally because when they walk on these pebbles, it works like an alarm system. It makes a noise, they cannot sneak away.
Have they tried to escape? No. Could they try? Difficult. Because they would have to go through a series of security rings.
CCOT was built with its own infrastructure in an isolated area, including an electrical and sewage system to prevent external interference. In case of an electricity cut or water supply issue, the cisterns and power plants will maintain operations for up to a week.
I'm so excited. We're gonna be face to face with the most dangerous criminals in the world. It is pretty tense. We are entering one of...
It's time to unleash.
Hey man, don't do no dumb shit, kids. Don't do no dumb shit, kids. And stay away from these girls.
Now.
These girls at the parties.
You are seeing the third and fourth modules next to each other. An offender who enters one of these buildings never exits through these doors. In a few steps, we'll be surrounded by more than 2,500 inmates. It's like stepping in the middle of controlled chaos.
This is so intense.
Their eyes are all on me, following my every step.
Getting an eye contact with them.
He's scared.
There are so many of them. I'm speechless. I can't have...
Yo, this guy, you can tell this is still a kid, bro. Like, you can tell this is still a kid, but then look at the tattoos on his face, bro. Look at the tattoos on his face, dog. Oh, jeez, Marajehov. Sasho saperi sizwe. Samantha Wamshop.
Help but feel.
God damn, bro. You can tell this guy is still a kid, bro. What did you do? What did you do, bro? Come on, bro. What did you do?
Unease. All of them wear white shirts, shorts,
shout out LMA.
They don't have any other belongings.
Most are barely out of their early 20s and convicted of serious offenses.
Bro, I'm telling you, that guy is still a kid, bro. You can tell that guy is still a kid, bro. What did he do? Most of them are not even over, not even 20. Like, come on, what did he say? Let's see,
all of them wear white shirts, shorts, and slippers. They don't have any other belongings.
Most are barely out of their early 20s and convicted of serious offenses. Even the most infamous criminals in history have an average of 20 to 30 proven victims. But here, some of the inmates are responsible for hundreds of innocent people's lives.
Can I ask the inmates something?
No. If you...
Yo. Like,
for you.
If they try to communicate with me now, what are you gonna do?
I'm not going to allow them. They know from them that subsequently there may be a penalty for not abiding by an instruction.
I'm curious to know which of these group leaders I'll be interviewing.
It is forbidden for us to pass this yellow line because these are one of the most dangerous human beings on Earth.
Without the bars between us, everyone knows exactly what could happen. There are 32 cells in every one of the 8 modules making up the mega prison. Each cell holds around 80 inmates. But
hold up, I want us to do the math. Oh, run it back. I want us to do the math real quick. I'll pin it up.
One of the most dangerous human beings on Earth.
Without the bars between us, everyone knows exactly what could happen. There are 32 cells in every
32 cells times
every one of the 8 modules making up the
32 cells. And there's 8 modules, okay? So it's 32 times 8 times
mega prison. Each cell holds around 80 inmates.
Times 80. There's at least 20,000 of these guys here, bro. There's at least 20,000 of them.
But the number can go as high as 150. Despite not being at full capacity, the inmates only have 0.5 square meters of personal space each. Prisoners do not have any ventilation rights or courtyards to walk outside their cell.
Each inmate here have been given one of the longest sentences you can even imagine in your life. The only thing that doesn't change that all these inmates will never get outside. They will never see sunlight. The only people are authorized to get inside and outside are the personnel and sometimes media like us. They will never ever leave this building. If you see their look, you can see the empty.
Bro, are you telling me that these guys live in this cell and that's it, bro? Like, you can't go out, you can't do nothing, bro. But then again, like, you gotta understand, like, these guys are the most wicked people on earth, dog. Type shit, dog. They says, like, in average prison, they can have, like, around 20 bodies. They say these guys are running, they have, like, 100 bodies on them, dog. So imagine if let's do the math again, kids. Let's do the math again, right? If there's 32 modules, right? If there's 32 cells times 8, there's 8 modules times, let's just say 80 people roughly. And all 80 people have like 100 bodies. These people have a combined body count of 2 million, gang. 2,048,000, bro. Like, this is the type of people talking about. 2 million bodies, gang. Like, how do you even reach 2 million bodies? How?
In their soul. They don't have any hope towards future. They look very robotic.
MS-13.
Their life is so monotone.
This open corner is their toilet area.
They have like 2 toilets for 80 inmates. It's literally humiliating these inmates. Like, their whole confidence is disciplined here.
The same place where they use the toilet is also where they take showers. To clean themselves, they use plastic dippers in a single shared basin. There's no running water in the cells, so the prisoners have to rely on one blue barrel for drinking water.
Where they sleep is these metal bunks. No pillow, no mattress. Each prisoner receives just the bare essentials: a white sheet, a uniform, socks, slippers, and a towel. That's it.
The prisoners spend their entire days on their 4-level bunk beds. They have stacked tightly, like items stored in a warehouse. As part of hygiene and order, inmates are shaved every 2 weeks by personnel. Long hair or beards aren't just unhygienic, they can also hide sharp objects.
Let's take a look. Take off your shirt and line up here.
Now they are taking their shirts off.
These inmates were once part of the MS-13 and Barrio 18 gangs, which controlled the neighborhoods of El Salvador. These two rival gangs spent years extorting money from locals and causing great suffering to Salvadorans.
There is Barrio 18, MS-13 gangs, all together in one cell.
That's right, just like that. The entire module is the same. They all live like this.
Outside, entering each other's neighborhood could mean being torn apart. Yet here, they are side by side until their last breath.
How do they live without attacking one another?
They have to learn how to live together. Here, they are in a prison. They are not on the street.
Most of the inmates have tattoos covering their entire bodies, even including their faces, showing their loyalty structure. For MS-13, tattoos often include initial letters or the number 13. Members of the other gang use symbols like 18 or 666, which add up to 18 and symbolize the devil, or they use Roman numerals. Having gang tattoos on one's face is a clear sign that they are one of
Yo, Oh, look at this guy, bro. These are the most evil people on earth, gang. I'm not even finna play.
The most ruthless and high-ranking members of the organization. Crossing paths with such a person on the street is the same as staring death in the face. A spiderweb tattoo represents being caught in the web of justice and serving a long prison sentence. The devil horns tattoo is a dark symbol that represents these individuals' worship of the devil. Some even claim that they carried out their actions under the devil's command. A teardrop tattoo signifies that the person has ended someone's life. The number of teardrops indicates how many lives they've taken. If there are 3 teardrops, it suggests that the tattoo's owner has taken so many lives that they've lost count. With the phrase "laugh now, cry later," these masks or clown tattoos send a clear message. Stay strong in the face of hardship now and deal with the consequences later.
Are all these people truly bad?
They're on another level, high-profile criminals who will never change their mentality.
If you look at the upside, there's a catwalk area.
Guards consistently watch over the inmates from this elevated spot above the cells. If anything suspicious occurs, they will intervene while an extensive network of cameras observes every corner 24/7, ensuring nothing goes unnoticed. The modules are kept lit all day and night for monitoring. When the sun goes down, the lights stay on all the time.
They are constantly being observed. I think this is one of the hardest things. When they try to sleep, they use their towels and cover their eyes to block the light. Preacher here is teaching some of the important lessons from the Bible to the inmates. They're doing physical exercise over here. There's a trainer there. This is the only time these inmates get out of their cells.
These activities take place for a total of 1 hour per week, under the watch of armed guards. For the rest of the time, they are locked inside. They used to control the streets. Now, they can't even take a step with their free will.
It's a rotating schedule. There's not enough space, so they can't all go out on the same day.
Has there ever been a chaotic incident when these inmates were outside of their cells?
So far, nothing.
Whenever we focus the camera on a cell, we often catch a prisoner.
Weekend Nkulu is here. Stand a chance to win 15,000 Rand. Enter online and rent a smartphone with PhoneYam and make your long weekend happen. 10 weekly winners. Apply online at phoneyam.co.za.
Because the thing about these type of people, they have dark aura around them, bro. Like when they look at you, dog, if your aura is weak, dog, you won't be able to look at
silently them, mouthing words.
Yo, Jesus. Yo, Jesus.
Even behind bars, gang members attempt to send orders to the outside. This prisoner was doing just that, but we censored him to block the message. Despite the crackdown, these groups still hold significant power outside. Rumors suggest they have plans for taking revenge by targeting innocent people. But in response, the authorities threaten to impose even harsher measures on imprisoned members.
If they do that, there won't even be one meal in prison. Uno. I swear to God they won't eat a grain of rice. Let's see how long their homeboys last inside.
Here they get 3 meal times: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast is usually beans and rice. For lunch, they get white rice and pasta. And dinner's pretty much the same. The only thing that changes is the drink. There's no nutritious food like chicken or meat. This is the lunch. It's rice, pasta, and 2 tortillas.
Does the menu vary from day to day?
No.
Is it the same every day?
It's always the same. It's for freshmen.
Okay. It's a sugary drink. I'm going to taste it for myself.
Inmates must eat with their hands and clean their plates before returning them. With a diet lacking in protein, many likely suffer from nutritional deficiencies. Before starting our interview with an inmate, I want to show you one more place that is even more extreme than what you've seen so far.
Here we are in the isolation cell area. If inmates break a rule, they can be sent to these isolation cells according to the legislation. The law gives me the right to keep the prisoners in isolation for up to 15 days. These cells have sealed doors. Through this grid, I can see them and identify who's inside. We serve food here, and we also use this space to put handcuffs on them before opening the door to move them from here to their cell.
Welcome to the isolation cell. If an inmate misbehaves, this is where he ends up. He won't know the time or how much longer he'll be kept inside. For days or even weeks, he sleeps on this concrete bed without ever leaving. They are cut off from the outside world, left alone with nothing but their thoughts.
This is where they supply their water. There's a water basin here. They take their water here, and this is where they pee.
The basin for drinking water and the toilets are located side by side. The toilet looks recently used and dirty, suggesting that this cell has recently been used. The only light they have is this little hole that barely lets the sunshine in. This openness is also the sole source of fresh air.
What is the most challenging thing about isolation room according to you?
Inside, you don't even see your hands. So when someone is isolated, it is necessary for them to have something, a book, anything, to keep their mind clear. But here, they don't have access to any of that. No matter how tough a criminal is, this kind of isolation breaks them. This is necessary for the type of offenders that we have here. People who once played God by deciding who would live and who wouldn't live deserve the worst punishment. We don't show them mercy. They can ask for forgiveness, and may God forgive them. But here, justice must be served for so many victims, and it's the least they deserve.
Now we're going to interview the inmate known as Psycho. He has a 34-year criminal history, and has spent the last 25 years as a high-ranking member of an organization.
10 minutes. You only have 10 minutes.
12 guards are barely enough to ensure the safety around this inmate.
Remove the mask.
What is your name?
My name is Marvin Ernesto Medrano Vasquez.
How old are you?
I'm 41 years old.
You don't look 41. You look younger, like 35.
Bro, and this guy's like the highest ranking. He has no tattoos on his face whatsoever, dog. And he's one of the most dangerous niggas out here, bro.
That's a good thing that you told me, because I feel old.
Can I see your tattoos?
I'm at 13.
When did you join this crime organization?
In 2004, but I started my criminal record since I was 11 years old.
How did you first become involved?
When somebody is born with just a mom and the mom is working, you look for the streets. You look for somebody to help you out. I said, oh, my mom's poor, I need some shoes, I need some clothes, and I started robbing. Then I need a father figure because I didn't grow up with my father. And then I looked the group of gangs. Then I did a side, and I came right here to El Salvador.
The thing about all these guys, like all these guys are like, most of them, I think all of them are like fatherless kids, dog. So that also plays a role into how like a child like develops, you know, like their psyche, like their psyche develops, dog, which is crazy, bro. But yeah, bro, this shit's happening, bro.
I'm trying to change my life, but I think that there are more gangs right here, and I started doing the same thing I did upstate, and I got locked up. I've always been one of them persons that wanted to accomplish the things that they put in their mind, and I accomplished everything I had to do right here. But I'm right here. This is how the devil pays the people.
Yeah. Is it true that to join this crime organization, you need to end someone's life?
Yeah.
But the first one must be one of your relatives, right?
Yeah. Because you got to gain territory for your gang. I lost my mom, my dad, my son, everything right here because of the gangs. When I could be with my family, hey, upstate, the United States, a better life. But, you know, we took wrong decisions, and this is the cause of this. That's why I tell the youth, hey, go to school, listen to your mom, listen to your dad. Don't live this life that we live right here. There's no way out.
How many people's lives have you ended? Is it 5 or 10? How many?
No, if you talk about what you used to do in the jails after, it probably get a few more than 50. You gotta do it sometimes.
How did you become cold-blooded and merciless in time?
I can't really respond you with that question.
How do you feel about not seeing your family forever since you're in Sakat?
I feel bad because I seen my son the last time when he was 5 years old, and he's 21 years old. Right now, I want to see him. I want to tell him, hey, don't do the same things that your dad did. Look for a good life.
People who have fallen victim because of you will never see their loved ones again. You will also never see your family. How do you cope with emotions like missing someone?
I feel bad. Sometimes, like I tell you, I lay down on my bed and I think a lot of things, and sometimes I cry.
What is your motivation to stay alive here?
To one day change my life and look for God in my life, and I tell God, hey, forgive me. Forgive me because I did some things.
Okay.
Finally, we see the sunlight. Honestly, Secat is a place you will never wish to end up in, even as a visitor. But for the people who victimized Salvadorans, it is now their forever home. These criminals took the innocent people's right to live, and now they're paying for it. The Salvadoran government's message is clear. Crime is no longer tolerated and the punishment is severe. El Salvador once had the highest rate of lives lost due to widespread chaos. During its peak, 104 out of every 100,000 people lost their lives in a single year. Previous administrations agreed to a truce with these groups, but this couldn't bring lasting order. Although the current government's methods are controversial, by 2023, the number dramatically dropped to 2.4 per 100,000 people, placing El Salvador among the safest countries in the world for the first time. So far, the results are undeniable. Peace has returned to the neighborhoods. But what about those who were wrongfully imprisoned? Is it true justice or way to control chaos? Are we seeing a lasting solution or just a temporary fix? For now, the answer remains unclear, and the world continues to watch. Thank you for watching this documentary.
Is that all, bro? Like,
Naum Tembu, space for Barnes on the right hand flank, jumps back inside, brilliant.
Let's check out Russia's prison, the world's darkest. The dark world of Jamil, the world's most evil prison. Javan. What happens to his nose, though? I'm from Nova.
Whoa. What's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
Guys, Nina just built an app.
Impossible. Nina can't code.
Interesting. Can it generate reports?
It can now.
Nice. So you're saying we can all build apps now?
Yeah.
I'm on lunch.
I gotta make a call.
I'll be in my office. Just built an inventory.
You can't say he's evil, but then you don't say, what did he do, bro? I want to know, what did he do? I want to know, bro. Oh, shit. I don't know why women are so fascinated with dangerous men. Like, these are the results, sure. But then again, I understand. She only had like one kid, so she was probably feeling like
Usuna's wife was treated in hospital, and the baby was fine. Osuna, however, went back into prison briefly for the attack on his wife.
It's just so typical.
When he got out, a restraining order was placed on him, which meant his wife gave...
Boo. What you mean? Hold up.
Rebellion.
Man.
The first prisoner to cause a problem is sent to solitary confinement, a cell measuring 3 by 2 meters.
Ayo, man. Hey, man, stream is cut. Okay, man, let's... Hey, man. Guess you don't want me to know what's happening. Man, well, that sucks, bro. Hanani ya nanaqhoma nani. YouTube yaqhoma. YouTube yaqhoma asuka. Asuka. Yo, hey. Ish. Man, that shit sucks, bro. Nina YouTube. Suga. Suga man. Ice, come on. Is the stream still locked out, bro? It's crazy though. Suga. Suga, man. I was still locked out, y'all. Okay, we back, y'all. We back. Okay, let's not watch that video. Let's find another one. Hey, but these prison stories are nice, though. They like they're not nice in the term of like what these people, but they're very interesting. Bro, like, why don't y'all? Oh, the problem with like these documentary type of videos, like they are protected by YouTube, gang. So, let me see what I can find. Let me see, bro. Are you down? You still down? Baby.
What you see behind me is the world's strictest and largest prison.
Hey, Tula. What other documentary does this guy have? Let me see what else he has here. At least his videos are a little bit shorter, so we can like watch them. Journey to the center of the earth. The lights are solid on earth. You won't believe it exists. Hold up. But I actually want to know about I saw like one about like the Russian prison. Now I'm just too lazy to
What you see behind me is the world's strictest and largest prison.
Out, bro. Ish, like we just got suspended, so I'm looking for another dope ass video for us to watch. South essays only maximum. Dog. After watching the prison in the other countries, dog, I swear this prison looks like playtime, boy. Inside ADX Supermax, the world's worst prison in... Florence. What's this one? Now, let's check out this one.
ADX Florence, built south of Florence, Colorado in 1994, is the most secure prison in the United States prison system. America's only federal Supermax prison is home to some of the world's most dangerous criminals, including names you might recognize. Today, we will tell you about the Florence Supermax, America's toughest prison. Number 7. What is a Supermax prison? Supermax prisons are the highest level security.
Nah, bro, I want a documentary, dog. I want a documentary. Nah, here's the one I saw. How long is this one? 50 minutes, dog. We're gonna get tagged. I'm just telling you right now, we're gonna get tagged. This video is too long. Okay, let's see what's gonna happen, guys. Let's just pray we don't get tagged, bro.
To look long as well, more often than most.
Hey, these guys are not okay, I'm sorry.
Все становится более быстрым.
2,000 rubles, or about 28 euros.
What? Cut up their dicks. Hold up, what?
I killed my cellie. That's the only way I was going to be able to get back into court, to do something like that.
The footage you are about to see are taken from some of the worst prisons in the world. From a Rwandan prison where inmates feed on the flesh of other prisoners just to survive, to the infamous ADX Florence, where inmates are kept in a concrete hole with no windows for 23 hours a day. These prisons leave their inmates begging for death.
I thought you had to die to go to hell, but hell is right here.
Join us as we unveil 9 prisons that are worse than death.
You never know how much you're alive until you face death.
For 90 minutes a day, they're allowed to exercise in a large cage. Because of the nature of inmates, While other correctional facilities use solitary confinement as a way to discourage bad behavior, it's the actual way of life in ADX. These inmates don't just spend hours or days kept away from the map out an escape route or plan a prison break. Since ADX was first opened in 1995, no prisoner has ever escaped from the facility. That's partly due to the extreme measures Sabaneta Prison, Venezuela. Before this facility was shut down in 2013, it was considered the most violent prison in the world. This is La Sabaneta, also known as Maracaibo National Prison, located in Venezuela. In its glory days, culture in Sabaneta. One particular gory incident takes us back to January 3rd, 1934. On this day, a group of gang members started a fire in a section of the prison. As inmates tried to escape the flames, the gang members shot and stabbed them, killing over 150 people. Till today, the incident is regarded as one of the deadliest prison riots in history. After years of neglect, the inmates were eventually moved to another location.
One dose costs 1,500.
Imagine being able to build anything.
Jack Harlow tried to hire a ghostwriter to sound black. What the fuck? Magistrate expected to deliver Julius Malema's sentence. Heaven, what's happening, boy? Uthini Jack Harlow?
I-Y.
What is Jack Harlow saying?
Curtis K.
Shout out, y'all. We should get them subs up, man.
DIYers, just when you thought we were done with old music Snow Child, or IRS-1, whatever you want to call him, with this ridiculous ass hat for his last music video, just when you thought we were done. Shout out to the Selective Ignorance Pod and Mandy B. She had an opportunity to interview a songwriter who Jack Harlow reached out to be on his My Nigga album. I don't care if it's called My Nigga. That shit called My Nigga. He thinks slick. And she asked a question to Josie, who is a Grammy Award-winning songwriter, who is multi-platinum. She has worked with Beyonce and all kind of folks in the industry. An amazing artist herself. What are her thoughts on this Jack Harlow Neo Soul album? Listen to what she discloses, because it's the first time we're hearing about the way that some of the elements of this project were trying to be put together.
On Jack Harlow's new album? Damn, shout out to Jack Harlow. We did some great work together, and then he texted me a long voice note like, yo, I love working with you. Don't want nobody to know like that you're working. Pretty much want me to be a ghostwriter.
Cat is out the hat.
Hey yo, DIYer, if you're enjoying this content, please don't forget to hit the like button. It helps this video and this channel get discovered by new people.
Listen, guys, when you see somebody like me who writes all of their verses, I'm a fucking unicorn, gang. I'm rare.
I appreciate you. Now back to the video.
Someone like me is rare, bro.
In case you missed that, Jack Harlow was collaborating, which a lot of artists do, collaborating with the songwriter, seasoned songwriter like Josie. and send a long voice note saying, I really love the work that we did. I would like to work again.
Shout out, Show. Be sure to get them subs
of
up,
course,
bro.
we did some great work together.
People like me
but
are
then
a
he
unicorn,
said,
dog. We don't need no ghostwriters.
One thing, can we
I be
do
writing
this
all of my
without
verses
me having
live
to
then
mention
in
to
front
the
of you
public
guys.
that you wrote any of it? You want this accomplished songwriter to be a ghostwriter for you?
What?
Now that shit hurt me. I was like, my nigga, I'm not a ghostwriter. If the song comes out, I'm letting niggas know I wrote it. We never worked.
Wow.
Rewind back to that conversation that Jack Harlow had.
Hey,
with,
man,
with
shout out to her for standing on business,
Tupac Crate
dog. Nah, she
individuals
stood on business.
about his appreciation, his bullshit appreciation for neo soul music. And think about how much she was saying, like, you know, I just on this project, bro. I got blacker. Maybe the collaborators got blacker, but that colonizing didn't. First of all, it would actually, to me, on a cultural level, be like, oh, Jack Harlow is tapped in to work with someone who is more so known, I guess, as a amazing songwriter for the who's who in this industry. Oh, you're tapped in. But the fact that you want to be able to be put in a position, this is why ghostwriters exist in a lot of circles. The fact that you want to be the one that gets all the credit, even though someone did the work in terms of giving you the cultural currency, the sauce, the style, you want to be able to say you got blacker
what's up, bro?
without acknowledging the black contributions
Is that what the
to your said
man,
black
crazy,
experience.
Man.
Called my nigga.
I won't lie though, like a lot of artists who are signed, dog, they usually write their shit, bro. They usually write their shit, bro. So it is very much expected, dog. It's very much expected, man. Be sure y'all sub up, chat. Let's get them subs up, bro.
Shout out to Josie for saying you got me fucked up.
Never worked after that.
The only thing more egregious than gentrifying black culture is asking a black person for their help in your gentrification. And
somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
So like what I was trying to do is like I'm really trying to like go for like that neo soul type of sound, like you feel me, like I'm trying to get blacker on this. But what I was hoping was that can I have some black in this? Can I have some of your blackness in this bowl? But can I tell people I cooked it?
Crazy, bro.
Please, more blackness in my bowl. I just want to tell people I cooked it. They'll never believe it. Everybody, I cooked this. I made this. Smell it. Yeah, that seasoning you probably don't associate with somebody like me, but I did it. I hate it.
I don't want to say that you got help. You're asking me to hide?
Wanting someone to come in as a ghostwriter and not get the credit for being a part of something that you say you respect, that you love, that you are diving more into because you want to be blacker. I question his authenticity around actually.
The idea of a ghostwriter in general, for someone to make their way up in the ranks of the music industry, has always been flawed to me. Call me a purist when it comes to this. I don't care. People should be credited for their said contribution. It is an expectation that this is something that happens in the industry. You do me a favor, behind closed doors, we'll let people know, and then you'll get another opportunity because of it. In this situation, this shit is hella egregious. Because not only are you trying to take credit, but you're also trying to literally take
lost it, bro.
Cultural nuance that you yourself don't understand, and the reason why you got to call somebody in to give you some. You want to take the sauce just to get
the sauce.
Woo! And if you did agree to that, you're cool.
Oh,
well, if she was just a talent on the come up, she had none of this resume, I can see that. No.
Look. That's another conversation too. I'm glad they're bringing this up. That cone word is definitely a heavy one to live with, because I think there are a lot of artists who don't look at it like that. They'll look at it and say, this is a means to an end. And if I'm willing to play ball in this industry with its own rules, they'll justify giving their said talent, because if it's not for that situation, no matter how unfair it is, would it have introduced him to this other person? Would they have still gotten into the same rooms? However, we're in a time period right now where we're calling out people who are being culturally predatory, and we're calling out the colonizing and the things that they're doing. I think we also got to call out, the same way that Kendrick called out a Drake for you run to Atlanta when you need a few dollars. I think we got to also call out the people who invited him to Atlanta.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
I think we also got to call out the people who invited this cultural transaction to happen. I think that's fair. And in your come up, if you decided that this was a worthy transaction for Jack Harlow to get the sauce, to get that cultural nuance without caring or loving anything about it, you gotta take some kind of accountability for giving it up.
Your story, your art, your anime. Make it with Jadu's AI tool.
Because you didn't have to.
You are a major, an established figure,
like
an
you went to Bryson
established
Tiller.
artist, and be like, yo, bro, I want to do this, but you can't say nothing to nobody, and you'd be like, all right, that's cool. Like, why would you let this white man dictate that you can't speak on the art that you helped create?
Yeah.
But like, imagine Justin Timberlake going to Timberland and being like, yo, bro, I want
to use AI. Oh, that's all you had to say. You go, baby Timbo.
About to go solo. I'm about to leave this nigga, but I want to do some shit with you, but I don't want nobody to know that you. Like, so we supposed to believe that you, Jack Harlow, came up with this shit on your own?
Yes.
That's you.
Yes. And you know what's crazy? It wouldn't have hurt him. It would not have. It would.
One more thing I want to say before we pivot in this story. Shout out to Kev on stage. So, as if the humiliation wasn't enough in that week where we got on his ass, we gave him every acronym you could. It didn't equal out to more streams and more sales, but it for sure made him go viral. I don't know if this is him leaning into the joke more as Music Snow Child, or I don't know if he for some reason thought like this is gonna really give him them vibes of like the VH1 Soul Era. Look at this dumbass hat, and please listen to what Kev on stage had to say about it. He really think he and his
shout out, let's get themselves up. That's crazy though.
I'll visit you when the day.
Are we a joke to you?
I have literally never seen a hat like this in all my life.
But the hat is not that bad though. I don't know, like I would rock this hat. I don't like it. I would rock. I mean, bro, I would rock this hat, bro. I don't know why they giving the hat so much hate though. You can hate Jack Harlow, but don't hate the hat, bro.
42 years.
You see what Jack Harlow's doing now? It's making me drop my mic now.
This hat that Jack Harlow got is crazy.
It's a nice hat, though.
It's unbelievable.
Do you guys think it's a nice hat or what?
The hat keep going up. The hat keep going up. Why the hat keep going up?
Well, that's not that bad, though. I don't feel like I should.
There's so much hat. How?
I don't know. I don't know. Shout out to his stylist. I'm glad that it's being called out in all environments. You know, one environment that I feel like doesn't always get this conversation, it's the K-pop environment. And I don't know if you saw this clip, but this went viral for very similar reasons. I don't know who this artist is, but the caption that someone put earlier of calling him Baby Kimchi had me intrigued. Please listen to this and tell me who it reminds you of.
And you thought that you would have won. Playing secrets, keep it under the sun. You done this, you just living for fun. Pussy gon' taste good on my tongue. I do not waste food on a bum. Shawty look good, what you throw it, turn it up. All these hits you taking love. You a fake hoe and you came from up above.
What the hell did I just watch? Playing secrets, keep it under the sun. Hedonist, you just living for fun. That only gonna taste good on my tongue. I do not waste food on a bum. Shorty look good when she throw it, turn it up. The hell is he talking about? This sound like somebody that's part of a group project and didn't contribute. That has been asked, hey, most of the group got sick. Are you able to do the presentation today? I don't know what the fuck we talking about. Well, here's some notes. They're calling him the Asian Tyler, the Creator. I don't think anybody said that. I'm sorry, we gotta have a conversation about how a lot of Asian artists just copy whatever they like. You a fake hoe and you came from up above. He did say that, because that's what happens when you just saying shit. Here we go, right there. They're calling him Baby Kimchi.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Some people even heard I just made some bullshit. I just made some bullshit. There was a time period where I would see this kind of contrast and I'll be like, it's dope to see how far hip hop can go around the world. That's dope, bro. Like, that's so dope. Like, look at how the culture's impacted. And now it's like, it made me feel like the first time somebody stole one of my merch ideas. I had a merch idea that was like a cartoon version of me, right? Instead of it saying Curtis King, the design was found on a foreign website, I think in Japan. It was my likeness, and instead of Curtis King, it said King of Hip Hop.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
And that motherfucker was being sold for like a fraction of what my shirt was. It was kind of like an Alibaba site, but this is years before he was even Temu and all of that. It was on a bootleg site. The feeling that I had of somebody is taking my idea and art and getting paid for it in a different country reminded me of this. DIYers, real quick reminder. If you enjoy these reactions and you want to go a little bit deeper, we got a private Patreon community waiting for you. On the Patreon, you get access to a private Discord or
get 400 grams of Spur ribs for just $149.90. Spur, people with a taste for life.
Get them subs out, bro.
Okay, this video is an Asian woman.
Shut up.
She's like, I think she Korean or something like that. She's rapping real fast. She got skills. I'm not gonna lie. She sounds amazing. She sounds great.
Shut up, now speak. We should get them subs out.
Come on, rap like me.
Luke Chang, you never had a true spinning like me. Okay, stop playing. I'll be popping on 22-3. Got him out of tech, woman, Prada, tag.
These are the same people that will.
How does she sound like Bad Barbie mimicking a black woman from an Asian perspective? How did this happen? How?
I'll be popping on 22-3. Got him out of tech, woman, Prada, tag.
Not a nigga in sight. Oh my.
These are the same people that they just practicing their blackness again. Everybody is practicing their blackness, but the will be the first ones to hate black folks. I'm sorry, I'm not letting you get away with this. And for all of you black folks that be on there charging them the up, no. Like I said, I think she's dope. I think it's awesome. But nah, the respect ain't adding up, okay? She's cosplaying black. That's all. Not saying she's not good, but you got to get a little tired of this shit. It's a little annoying. Everywhere I turn, someone's doing black shit. I am done with that shit. Very talented, good for you. But we got to get the respect level of black people up. Nah, not just when it's fun and games and dancing and singing and all that other shit. What about when we're not rapping? What about when we just come into your businesses? What about when we come into your countries? You know what I mean? You get where I'm coming from, right, guys? Because K-pop itself, you know about K-pop and all the racism in K-pop, and they took all their shit from black people. It's all black shit. I'm giving this emoji.
I am too. I'm with you guys.
Because I am a little bit annoyed and not fazed by this cosplaying black. Have a nice day.
Isn't it interesting how hip hop is such a free for all? How black dialect, black's ways of speaking, culturally, traditionally, certain words, how much it is to become a part of everyone's community, how much it is taken as, no, this is us. This is not just you guys. It's a us thing. But you think of certain things that have been associated with specific cultures, let's just say like sushi. There is never any confusion that you are a guest when you walk into a sushi restaurant.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
There's never any question when you walk into a traditional Mexican, authentic Mexican restaurant that you are a guest enjoying someone else's food. There is no No. We are responsible for this. No. You go in, it is decorated a certain way to make sure that you understand this has not been disconnected from its cultural roots. The internet has a way of anonymously colonizing, where you'll get faceless avatars that are able to jump into conversations with people that culturally they have no business having conversations with because they don't understand any of the nuance they're trying to.
Alright, gang, I've been trying to find. Alright, gang, I've been trying to find. I did one video on Reggie and Cuffham situation. I was trying to find another one, and I've ended up on this girl page, and she seemed like she got the best shorts to the straight to the point one. So we finna watch that. But don't think y'all finna keep coming on this channel and see Mac Moolah react to some girl gossip tea, because no, this man shit over here is just a girl video. Do your homework. Let's get it.
Like what makes this work.
Know where I'm from. Report a lot from the third, potential untapped. Just realize young eagle potential is uncapped. Just making sure my daughter got the gift that she can. Loud.
Come on. I would like, Jay Nigga has one of the best freestyles here, dog. Some of the freestyles, dog, niggas come here with already written, dog. Like, man, get the fuck out of here, bro. Y'all niggas been rapping for 10 years, man. Y'all can't bust a freestyle. I gotta come there with a flipping 16 already prepared, man. Get the fuck out of here, man. And this is no disrespect to anyone who came out there, but like, I just view this shit differently. Dog. And granted, niggas don't want to look like K Kid, but you know, man, at the end of the day, man, this is Shay Nigga has one of the best freestyles, man, hands down. Promise that you sing about me forever. Ooh, 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 ooh. Promise that you sing about me forever. Promise that you sing about me for. Ooh. I know the boy is live right now. Is he live here? I can sing about me forever.
Hey, boom! Yo. Hey, yo! Yes. The couch breaker in the back. Okay, sorry. You go.
Nah, bro, this is just some soft porn, dog. I'm not finna do that, man. Nah, I'm not doing that, bro. The last thing I want is to be thinking about ass, bro. That's the last thing I want. Promise that you sing about me forever. Promise that you speak about me for. Ooh.
man in Mexico. El Chapo was once the richest and most powerful man in Mexico, controlling the $1 billion Sinaloa cartel. But today he's locked inside a tiny cell in America's worst prison, that he says is worse than death itself. 2,230 days. That's how long El Chapo has been in ADX Florence, the most brutal, high-tech prison in the USA. No one has ever escaped. Many wonder how the inmates and guards treat El Chapo. Well, thanks to newly released letters written by El Chapo, we now know. In a letter to his lawyer, El Chapo says he is tortured 24 hours a day. He also says he suffers from headaches every day. According to El Chapo, he has not seen sunlight or breathed fresh air since entering the USA, also claiming he has not had a full night's sleep even once. But those aren't even the worst things El Chapo has to experience in ADX Florence, as El Chapo is said to get special treatment behind bars. And I don't mean that in a good way. The reason why is because of El Chapo's past, his money and power, and his previous escapes. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman has been a billionaire since the 1990s, becoming the second richest narco of all time, after Pablo Escobar. El Chapo founded the Sinaloa cartel, with his partner in crime Ismael El Mayo Zambada. Before long, the Sinaloa cartel was making $3 billion annually, reaching every part of Mexico, and even establishing bases in US cities. One of the big reasons El Chapo is so isolated in ADX Florence is because he famously escaped prison twice already, with his first escape taking place on January 19th, 2001. El Chapo was being held at Puente Grande prison in Mexico, known as Mexico's most secure prison. But thanks to El Chapo's massive wealth and power, he recruited various prison guards and other inmates. The corrupt guards and inmates sneaked El Chapo out of his cell in a laundry cart. Once the laundry cart was out of the prison, El Chapo escaped by car, disappearing into the mountains. The escape massively embarrassed Mexico, but 13 years later, El Chapo was captured once again, after Mexican Marines arrested him at a luxury hotel, following intelligence from the American DEA. 65 Marines raided the hotel, before being sent to Altiplano, a notorious maximum security prison in Mexico. But before long, El Chapo would embarrass the Mexican government once again. On the 11th of July 2015, El Chapo could be seen pacing around in his cell, before ducking down behind the shower area of his cell. After 25 minutes, he did not emerge, so prison workers entered his cell. In the shower area, there was a large hole, which led to a massive tunnel. The tunnel led to this building 1 mile away. The building and the tunnel had been specially built for the escape. The tunnel had lighting and air ventilation. El Chapo escaped by riding on the back of a motorbike that had been brought into the tunnel by the workers. The tunnel was the exact height of El Chapo sitting on a motorbike, enabling him to make a flawless escape. El Chapo clearly had help, and likely bribed prison workers. Just listen to this security footage from the prison. You can clearly hear the construction sounds of the tunnel being built. However, none of the guards reported this, as they were likely paid or threatened by El Chapo to keep quiet. At this point, El Chapo was an international name, and was worth a staggering $12 billion. It seemed like he was untouchable, but this would all change on the 8th of January 2016. El Chapo's hideout was raided by 17 elite Mexican special forces. The operation had been planned for 1 month. Locals had reported suspicious men going in and out of the house. The safe house was then bugged, and Mexican Marines heard El Chapo's men talking about the arrival of Granma. The Marines suspected Granma was code for El Chapo. When El Chapo arrived at the safe house, special forces moved in, taking out all of El Chapo's workers. But in true El Chapo style, he escaped using a secret tunnel under a bathtub. He then ran through sewers, before emerging and stealing a civilian's car. This led to a statewide manhunt, and El Chapo was found 12 miles away. El Chapo tried one more time to bribe the Marines, offering them money or houses. When they rejected this, El Chapo tried to threaten them, saying, "If you don't let me go, you're all going to die." But the threats did not work. El Chapo was arrested, and this time, his worst nightmare became reality, as he was quickly flown to the USA. As soon as he arrived in America, you could see the fear in his eyes, as he realized there was no escaping this situation. Mexico's most powerful man had become powerless. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years, just in case he comes back from the dead, I guess. On the the 19th of July 2019, El Chapo was sent to ADX Florence, where his new life in his own miniature version of hell would begin. ADX Florence in Colorado is America's most secure and brutal prison, housing only the most evil criminals. ADX Florence was built in 1994 after inmates Thomas Silverstein and Clayton Fountain ended the lives of 2 prison guards at USP Marion in Illinois. After this, it was decided a new prison had to be built, one to house only the most violent and dangerous inmates. Today, ADX Florence houses 357 inmates, all of whom are too dangerous to be in a normal prison, including, of course, El Chapo. In a recent letter, El Chapo said his life in the Supermax prison is worse than death. He spends 23 hours per day in his cell, being allowed to walk in a circle in a slightly larger room for just 1 hour per day. When El Chapo is moved to this room, he is in shackles and handcuffs, ensuring there is a 0% chance he can escape. El Chapo is allowed to exercise or walk around in the concrete room, which he does to maintain some sanity. As a billionaire, El Chapo is used to the finest foods, but in ADX Florence, the food is basic, functional, and repetitive. It's designed to keep inmates alive rather than provide any enjoyment. For breakfast, they're given milk, bread, and powdered eggs, and for lunch and dinner, they get processed meat, beans, and rice. These are mass-prepared and are delivered through their solid steel cell doors. There's no commissary in ADX Florence, meaning El Chapo's money is worthless behind bars. But what's El Chapo's cell actually like? El Chapo spends 23 hours per day in a 7-foot by 12-foot cell. There is a bed, desk, and a stool, which are all made from concrete. Apart from that, there is a stainless steel sink toilet combo that can only be flushed once at a time. This is to ensure inmates can't drown themselves. There is also a tiny shower, which is also on a timer. There is a tiny window, measuring 4 inches wide and 42 inches tall. The window is angled towards the sky, preventing inmates from knowing their exact location within the prison, meaning it's impossible for El Chapo to plan an escape, as he has no idea where he even is. Even if he somehow did leave his cell, he wouldn't get far. There are pressure pads all over the complex, meaning every footstep is tracked. There are motion detectors and cameras. The prison has over 1,400 remote-controlled steel doors. Every cell is watched over by guards 24 hours a day, meaning El Chapo has zero privacy. ADX also has what's known as the red button. If a guard presses this, the entire prison will lock down, automatically closing every door. On the outside, there are 2 12-foot razor wire fences surrounding the prison's perimeter. There are also armed guards in watchtowers who are authorized to fire on sight at anyone trying to escape. ADX Florence has 6 levels of security. El Chapo is held in what's known as Unit H, the most secure and restrictive unit. Because of this, El Chapo is not allowed any family visits. He is also not allowed a full night's sleep, as guards wake him up by banging on his cell door. El Chapo gets no human contact all day. Inmates are not allowed to speak to one another, and inmates are not allowed to speak to guards. The cells are even soundproofed, meaning inmates can't even yell to one another. Just imagine going years without any meaningful conversation. That's what inmates in ADX Florence have to face. So, there is no way El Chapo can escape. There's only one way El Chapo could ever escape prison in the USA. That is, if he was transferred out of ADX Florence and moved to a lower security prison. However, this is extremely unlikely, as most inmates in ADX are never allowed out. Once you're in for life. But El Chapo may soon have company in ADX Florence. Ismael El Mayo Zambada was kidnapped and taken to the USA. El Mayo is the co-founder of Mexico's Sinaloa cartel, which he ran for decades alongside El Chapo, but they're now both in US custody. On the 18th of August 2025, El Mayo agreed to plead guilty. He too will likely be sent to ADX Florence, but in a unit nowhere near El Chapo. However, the Mexican government is asking for El Mayo back, saying that he was illegally kidnapped from Mexico by El Chapo's own son, who is not in custody himself, as he made a deal with US law enforcement. Mexico has now charged El Chapo's son with high treason, leading to some saying the Mexican government may be trying to protect El Mayo, but it's unlikely El Mayo will leave the USA, and will almost definitely be sent to ADX Florence, meaning that for Mexico's 2 most rich and powerful criminals, time has finally run out, and this time there will be no escape. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and watch this to find out how El Mayo was captured. It's an insane story.
You know AI can do incredible things, but this isn't. With Artlist's AI.
December 2nd, 1993. Pablo Escobar hears boots thundering up his stairs. The man who murdered 4,000 people, bombed an airliner with 110 passengers, and offered to pay Colombia's entire $10 billion national debt is about to die barefoot on a stranger's roof. 3 death squads are converging on his location. CIA satellites track his heat signature. His last bodyguard just took 3 bullets to the skull. 14 minutes ago, Pablo made the mistake that killed him. He answered his son's phone call. His security protocol demanded 30 seconds maximum. At 2 minutes, Search Block locked his signal. At 5 minutes, they triangulated his neighborhood. At 14 minutes and 23 seconds, they had his exact address. Here's what changes everything. Someone inside Pablo's organization told his hunters exactly when he'd break protocol for his son. They knew Pablo couldn't hang up on a crying child. They knew which phone he'd answer. They knew he'd die protecting the only thing that still mattered. The 7th richest man in history, killed by love for his family. Who sold Pablo's location from inside? And why did his own sicarios want him dead? Before Pablo Escobar became the nightmare keeping presidents awake, he discovered something in a Medellin cemetery that would determine everything. Dead people are worth more than living ones. 14-year-old Pablo, standing among tombstones at 2 a.m. with a crowbar, did the math. 1 stolen headstone, names sandblasted off, resold for 5,000 pesos, around $500 from today. 3 nights of grave robbing earned more than his father made in 6 months. But Pablo noticed something disturbing. The cemetery guard, supposedly there to stop thieves like him, was actually selling him information about fresh burials, which meant one thing. The entire system was already criminal. Pablo just wasn't getting his cut yet. The moment that created the future drug lord happened, May 14th, 1974. 16-year-old Pablo, caught stealing a Renault 4, sits in a Medellin police station facing 5 years in prison. Officer Luis Fernando Gomez walks in, closes the door, and says 7 words that change history. "I know who your real father is." Pablo's face goes white. The secret Gomez threatens to reveal would destroy Pablo's family. So Pablo makes his first real deal. 50,000 pesos cash, plus 1,000 pesos monthly for life. Gomez accepts. But here's what changes everything. Pablo records the negotiation on a tape recorder hidden in his jacket. From that moment forward, Officer Gomez doesn't just work for Pablo, he belongs to him. Within 6 months, Pablo owns 14 Medellin police officers through similar blackmail. He films them taking bribes, records their confessions, and documents their crimes. By age 20, he's not paying protection money.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44. This is a first look at the current industry-leading AI app builder, and you wouldn't believe the kind of apps that people are creating. Smart nutrition apps, inventory trackers, onboarding tools, you name it. And if the only thing stopping me from making the app is the idea, why not build an app that gives me endless app ideas? So let's make it. Pro tip, I draft the full app spec in ChatGPT, and then I drop the prompts directly into Base 44. It gives me super detailed structure. And here it is. Everything I laid out in detail as it goes. This is pretty awesome, but I want to make it playful. So I'm going to add a swipe left and swipe right interface. Same usability we all know. Now I'm going to add...
He's collecting it. Cops tip him off about raids. Judges warn him about warrants, and prison guards smuggle messages. The teenage cemetery thief has discovered the ultimate business model. Don't avoid the law, buy it. But Pablo's about to learn that one honest man can destroy an empire of corruption. And that man is already watching him. Young Pablo's reputation spreads through a single incident that still terrifies witnesses 40 years later. November 3rd, 1975. Local trafficker Diego "The Beard" Montoya kidnaps Pablo's cousin Gustavo, demanding 3 million pesos ransom. Pablo doesn't negotiate. He doesn't even call the police. He walks into Montoya's compound alone, unarmed, during Montoya's daughter's quinceañera celebration. 200 guests watch Pablo approach Montoya, whisper something in his ear, then calmly walk out. Within 10 minutes, Montoya releases Gustavo and flees Colombia forever. But what did Pablo whisper? According to Montoya's widow, Pablo said, "I've already killed your mother. She's in the trunk of your car. You have 10 minutes to check and run, or watch me kill your daughter next." Montoya's mother was actually safe at home, but those 10 minutes of terror taught Medellin's underworld a lesson. Pablo Escobar would do things others only threatened. But the cocaine opportunity doesn't come from violence. It comes from a math error. In September 1970, Pablo, watching smuggler Fabio Restrepo count money, notices him miscalculating profits. 1 kilo of paste costs $350 in Peru. Restrepo sells it for $4,000 in Medellin. He thinks that's 10 times profit. But Pablo sees further. That same kilo, processed and shipped to Miami, returns $40,000. That's a 114x profit. Restrepo is leaving 90% of potential money on the table. When Pablo points this out, Restrepo laughs. "You think anyone can just fly cocaine to America?" Pablo doesn't laugh back. He's already calculating how many planes he'll need. Within 6 months, Restrepo is dead, and Pablo controls his routes. But controlling routes isn't enough. Pablo needs something bigger, a system that makes him irreplaceable. The transformation accelerates through an accidental discovery. Pablo's pilot crashes in Panama with 600 kilos of cocaine, and local authorities seize everything. Pablo expects total loss. Instead, General Manuel Noriega contacts him personally. "For 10% of every shipment, I'll guarantee safe passage through Panama." Pablo realizes the implications immediately. If he can buy Panama's government, why not Colombia's? If he can own one general, why not entire armies? At 26, standing over a map of Latin America, Pablo makes the prediction that sounds insane. "Within 5 years, I'll control more power than any government in South America." His cousin Gustavo thinks he's joking. The terrifying part? Pablo's underestimating himself. But first, someone needs to die. Someone powerful. Someone whose death will announce to the world that Pablo Escobar has arrived. Who does Pablo choose as his declaration of war? The meeting that creates the monster happens June 6, 1978. But there's a hidden recorder under the table, placed by someone who will later become Pablo's greatest enemy. At Carlos Later's coastal ranch, Pablo proposes something revolutionary. Instead of competing, the traffickers should incorporate, share routes, share planes, and share bribes. Create a cocaine monopoly. Jorge Luis Ochoa agrees immediately. His brothers Fabio and Juan David nod along. But Jose Gonzalo Rodriguez Gacha, El Mexicano, asks the question that changes everything. Who decides who lives and who dies? Pablo's answer chills the room with a simple sentence: "I do." Within 3 years, that answer will be true. By 1982, Pablo's system generates impossible numbers. Every 72 hours, a King Air 200 leaves Colombia, carrying 1,000 kilos of pure cocaine. Pablo owns 15 aircraft, but here's the genius. He charges other traffickers to use his routes. Every competitor becomes a customer. He's not just trafficking cocaine. He's franchising the entire business model. The math explodes. $60 million daily by 1984, $420 million weekly by 1985. But Pablo discovers cash has weight, literally. $1 million in 20s weighs 110 pounds. By 1986, Pablo's operation handles 40,000 pounds of cash monthly. That's when the real problem starts. Roberto Escobar, Pablo's brother and accountant, can't count money fast enough. They resort to weighing it. $1 million in mixed bills weighs exactly 22 pounds. But storage becomes critical. Pablo buries $800 million in plastic barrels across Colombia. Except tropical humidity destroys bills within months. Rats eat through another $100 million annually. When Roberto reports losing $2.1 billion to decomposition, Pablo shrugs. Write it off. It's only 10% of gross. But someone's been watching those burial sites, mapping every location, waiting for the perfect moment to dig them up. Subscribe now. Because what Pablo does with his fortune doesn't just change Colombia. It rewrites the rules of power itself. The Robin Hood campaign starts with calculation, not kindness. Pablo builds Barrio Pablo Escobar, 450 homes for Medellin's homeless. But here's what nobody mentions. He films every family receiving keys, records their names, their children's names, their gratitude. These aren't gifts. They're 450 families who now owe Pablo their lives. When police come asking questions, these families see nothing. When Pablo needs crowds for rallies, 450 families appear instantly. He's not buying loyalty, he's manufacturing an army disguised as charity. The 70 soccer fields he builds? Each one includes hidden storage rooms for cocaine. The basketball courts? Built over tunnel systems. Every gift has teeth. But Pablo's political ambitions trigger his first real mistake. March 1982. He wins election as alternate congressman, making him technically immune from prosecution. He attends one session of Congress, sits in the back row and says nothing. But Justice Minister Rodrigo Lara Bonilla notices something odd. Pablo's tax returns claim he earns money from bicycle rental shops, yet he arrived in a helicopter. Lara investigates, and on August 16, 1983, Lara stands before Congress holding Pablo's 1976 arrest record for drug trafficking. In 30 seconds, Pablo goes from congressman to criminal. The humiliation burns worse than any bullet would. Pablo offers Lara $5 million to retract his accusations, but Lara refuses. Pablo increases to $10 million, but Lara still refuses. On April 30th, 1984, sicarios spray Lara's Mercedes with machine gun fire. 7 bullets tear through the minister. Within 72 hours, DEA agents land in Bogota with a secret weapon Pablo can't buy, can't threaten, can't kill. Satellite surveillance that can read license plates from space. But Pablo has his own secret weapon, and it's about to turn Colombia into a war zone. What order does Pablo give that makes hardened killers vomit? Why do his own sicarios start refusing certain jobs? And who is the mysterious doctor who teaches Pablo how to build bombs that kill everyone except the intended target? November 27th.
Loom's superpower is amplifying you, opening up a new world of productivity, focus, and
1989. 5 minutes before Avianca Flight 203 explodes, a passenger calls his wife. Something's wrong. 2 men just ran off the plane claiming mechanical problems, but the crew says everything's fine. The line goes dead at 7:13 a.m. At 13,000 feet, Eduardo Martinez, Pablo's bomb maker, has rigged 5 kilos of Semtex plastic explosive inside a Samsonite briefcase. The detonation tears the Boeing 727 in half. 107 people die instantly, including 2 Americans, which makes Pablo Escobar the DEA's top priority worldwide. But here's what Pablo doesn't know. Cesar Gaviria, his intended target, canceled his reservation that morning. Pablo just murdered 107 innocent people for nothing. The mathematics of terror follows a formula. Pablo perfects. For every official who refuses bribes, 7 people around them become targets. Judge Gustavo Zuluaga rejects Pablo's money. His father dies January 10th. His brother dies January 18th. Then his wife in January 26th. And finally, Zuluaga himself dies February 3rd. By 1989, Pablo's sicarios have murdered 657 police officers, 47 judges, 3 presidential candidates, 1 attorney general, and 1 justice minister. But the number that terrifies Colombia most is smaller, 12. That's how old Pablo's youngest sicario is. Children who kill for 50,000 pesos per victim, around $3,000. 1 month's wages for a murder that takes 3 seconds. But Pablo's most terrifying weapon isn't violence, it's precision. He maintains files on every government official, their routines, their mistresses, their children's schools, their mother's medical conditions. Prosecutor Monica Delgado discovers Pablo knows she visits her father's grave every Sunday at 3 p.m. She finds fresh flowers there with a note. These could have been for you. General Miguel Maza's daughter receives birthday presents from Pablo for 3 years, each gift more expensive than the last. The message is clear. I know everything about you. I can reach anyone you love, and I'm patient enough to wait years for revenge. The Palace of Justice Siege. November 6, 1985, reveals Pablo's true capacity for horror. He pays M19 guerrillas $2 million to storm Colombia's Supreme Court, specifically targeting judges reviewing extradition cases. But the real plan is darker. As military forces surround the building, Pablo's sicarios set fires on upper floors, forcing hostages to choose between burning or jumping. 11 Supreme Court justices die, but not from guerrilla bullets or army crossfire. They burn alive while Pablo listens on radio frequencies, counting each scream. The terror campaign peaks with a psychological operation that breaks Colombia's spirit. Pablo announces, "The lottery of death." Every Friday, he'll randomly kill 10 police officers in different cities. By week 6, police refuse to wear uniforms. By week 10, entire precincts call in sick. The government begs for negotiations, and Pablo agrees, but with one condition that changes everything. He wants to build his own prison. Not visit one, not choose one. Design and construct one from scratch. What the government doesn't know is that Pablo has already picked the location, already drawn the blueprints, and already knows which guards he'll hire. He's not surrendering, he's upgrading. The moment Colombia realizes it's been fooled comes during a live television broadcast. June 14, 1990. Presidential candidate Cesar Gaviria promises to extradite every trafficker to America. One day later, June 15th, Pablo's lawyers deliver a video to news stations. It shows 23 kidnapped journalists chained in a basement. Pablo's voice, disguised but unmistakable, delivers an ultimatum. Colombia has 48 hours to guarantee no extradition, or I execute 2 hostages every day until you comply. The timer starts. Hour 1 passes, hour 12, hour 24. And at hour 36, Congress convenes an emergency session. At hour 47, they vote to ban extradition from the Constitution. Pablo has literally terrorized democracy into surrender. But someone in that congressional session takes notes on every politician who voted yes, building a file that will later destroy Pablo's empire. Who is taking these notes? And why does Pablo's closest ally secretly want him dead? June 19, 1991, the helicopter carrying Pablo Escobar to prison makes an unscheduled stop. Pablo demands the pilot land at a specific coordinate. Colombian officials panic. Is this an escape? Instead, Pablo steps out, kneels on a hillside, and plants a small flag in the soil. "This is where you'll bury me," he tells guards. "Remember this spot." 7 miles away sits La Catedral, Pablo's personally designed prison. But Pablo knows something nobody else does. He's already planned his escape. The tunnel is already dug, the guards are already bribed, and this entire surrender is theater. 10 days into imprisonment, Pablo executes his real plan. He invites Colombia's top traffickers to La Catedral for a peace summit. 22 drug lords arrive, thinking they're negotiating territory. Instead, Pablo presents detailed files on each of them. Their routes, their suppliers, and their bankers. "You now work for me," he announces. "Same business, but I take 30% of gross. Refuse, and these files go to the DEA tomorrow." Nobody refuses. In one afternoon, Pablo transforms from fugitive to CEO of every Colombian trafficking operation. He's making more money in prison than he ever did free. But July 3rd, 1992, Pablo makes the mistake that destroys everything. 2 lieutenants, Fernando Galeano and Gerardo Moncada, arrive carrying $20 million in cash, tax payment to Pablo. But Pablo's paranoia has grown malignant. He believes they're shorting him. In La Catedral's game room, with guards watching television nearby, Pablo produces a clothes iron and extension cord. What happens next is so savage that hardened sicarios vomit. Pablo doesn't just kill Galeano. He tortures him for 6 hours, burning patterns into his skin while demanding confession to theft that never happened. Moncada watches his partner die inch by inch before sicarios hang him from the soccer goal. The bodies are cut into pieces small enough to burn in the pizza oven. The horror leaks through a guard's girlfriend who overhears him crying about what he witnessed. President Cesar Gaviria faces a choice: admit the government has lost control entirely, or storm the prison and risk Pablo's threatened retaliation. On July 21st, Gaviria makes his decision. 400 soldiers surround La Catedral with orders to transfer Pablo immediately. But Pablo's not worried. He's been expecting this for months. The tunnel exit is 200 meters beyond the perimeter. His men are already waiting with vehicles. What Pablo doesn't know is that someone inside his inner circle has provided the army with tunnel blueprints. In 3 hours, he'll be running for his life. But first, he makes a phone call that seals his fate. 9:27 p.m. Dense fog covers Mount Cathedral. Pablo calls his mother, Hermilda. "I'm leaving now. If I don't call within 6 hours, assume I'm dead." His mother begs him to surrender legitimately. Pablo laughs. "They don't want me in prison, Mother. They want me in a grave." He hangs up, opens his closet's hidden panel, and enters the tunnel with 8 men. They crawl 200 meters through darkness, emerging in forest beyond army lines, in freedom. Except Pablo doesn't see the infrared cameras the DEA installed yet.
It's a crazy game, man. This shit crazy. You sure I sub up shit.
Yesterday. His exact exit point is being watched by an eye in the sky he can't imagine exists. From this moment forward, Pablo Escobar will never be truly alone again. Every phone call monitored, every movement tracked, every ally questioned. But the real threat isn't technology. It's the group forming in the shadows, led by someone who knows Pablo's every secret. Who are Los Pepes? Why do they know things only Pablo's family should know? And what causes Pablo's own mother to curse his name before she dies? The photo that starts Pablo's destruction was taken at his daughter's 9th birthday party. July 24th, 1992, 2 days after his escape. Pablo, desperate to maintain family traditions, risks visiting Manuela. Hidden photographers capture him hugging her. Within hours, Los Pepes has copies. They don't just study Pablo in the image, they identify every person in the background. Every cousin, every friend, every child at that party becomes a target. The systematic execution begins immediately. Carlos Alzate, Pablo's cousin, dies first. On August 3rd, it's found with his eyes carved out and a message. Pablo watches his family die blind. Maria Gonzalez, who catered the party, is burned alive in her restaurant. Diego Murillo, whose son attended, discovers his child's school uniform on his doorstep filled with bullet holes, a warning that turns him into an informant. Within 6 months, Los Pepes kills 187 people who appeared in birthday party photographs. Pablo's world shrinks from thousands of allies to 5 terrified bodyguards who know they're dead men walking. But here's what terrifies Pablo most. Los Pepes knows things nobody should. They find safe houses he bought under false names. They identify accounts he opened in his mother's maiden name. They intercept messages using codes only his brother Roberto understands. Someone in Pablo's inner circle, someone he trusts completely, is feeding Los Pepes everything. Pablo grows so paranoid, he makes his own men take polygraph tests. He executes 2 bodyguards for failing questions about loyalty. But the traitor keeps transmitting information. The technology hunting Pablo is beyond his comprehension. Centra Spike, the NSA's secret surveillance plane, circles Medellin at 20,000 feet, invisible to radar. It can intercept any radio frequency, decrypt any phone scrambler, pinpoint any electronic emission within 100 meters. Every time Pablo keys a radio, types on a computer, or dials a phone, Centra Spike knows. The DEA feeds coordinates to search block in real time. Pablo thinks he's hiding in Medellin's urban maze. He's actually trapped in an electronic cage that shrinks every time he communicates. November 26th, 1993. Pablo makes the error that begins his final countdown. His son, Juan Pablo, denied refuge by every embassy, calls crying about being trapped in Colombia. Pablo stays on the phone 8 minutes, 7 minutes longer than his security protocol allows. He promises to arrange German visas, swears they'll reunite by Christmas. Centra Spike triangulates the call to a 6-block radius in Los Olivos neighborhood. Search block floods the area. Pablo escapes, but barely. He leaves behind his favorite pistol and a notebook containing his last will and testament. He knows they're closing in. December 1st, Pablo's 44th birthday. He's hiding in a middle-class row house down to one bodyguard, Alvaro Limon Agudelo. No parties, no cake, no visitors. Just Pablo listening to a transistor radio, hearing the government offer $6 million for information leading to his capture. He laughs bitterly. He once spent that much on a single party. Now he can't even call his mother. Government agents surround her house day and night, recording every word. She prays for him, but tells reporters she wishes he'd never been born. December 2nd, 2:48 p.m. Pablo's final mistake. His son calls about reaching Germany. The embassy might accept bribes. Pablo should limit the call to 30 seconds. But Juan Pablo is crying, begging for help. Pablo can't hang up on his terrified child. 1 minute passes, 2 minutes, 5, 10. At 14 minutes and 23 seconds, Centra Spike achieves perfect triangulation, the exact building in the second floor. Colonel Martinez dispatches everything: ground units, helicopters, snipers. Pablo doesn't hear them coming. He's promising Juan Pablo they'll be together by New Year's Eve. 3 p.m. The first breach. Search block storms the front door as Pablo finally hears the danger. He drops the phone. Juan Pablo hears gunfire, screaming, his father shouting, "Limon, the window!" They crash through glass onto the roof. Pablo is barefoot, wearing jeans and a blue shirt. He weighs 240 pounds, can barely run. Limon sprints ahead, firing wildly at helicopters. 3 bullets hit him simultaneously, chest, neck, and head. He drops 12 feet from Pablo. Now Pablo is alone on the tiles, surrounded by riflemen on every adjacent roof. He raises his Sig Sauer, manages 2 shots before bullets tear into his leg and torso. He staggers, still trying to aim. Sergeant Hugo Aguilar, on a roof 40 meters away, centers his Galil rifle's crosshairs on Pablo's head. The fatal shot enters above Pablo's right ear at 3:15 and 47 seconds p.m. The photo, search block posing with Pablo's corpse like hunters with trophy game, reaches Washington before Pablo's family learns he's dead. Colombia's government declares victory. 25,000 mourners attend his funeral while officials celebrate. But within 6 weeks, something becomes clear. Pablo's death changed nothing. The Cali cartel absorbs his roots overnight. Cocaine flow to America increases 30% by 1994. The drug war didn't end, it got worse. And the person who betrayed Pablo, they're still alive, identity protected by both Colombian and US intelligence. Declassified DEA documents reveal it was one of Pablo's most trusted sicarios, someone who knew every safe house, every escape route, every habit. After Pablo murdered Galeano and Moncada in La Catedral, this insider watched other lieutenants disappear and realized he was next. He contacted Los Pepes with an offer: Pablo's head for safe passage and reward money. Every detail Los Pepes knew, every perfectly timed raid, came from someone who sat at Pablo's table. The phone calls Pablo made to his family weren't just tracked by technology. Someone was telling the hunters exactly when he'd be vulnerable, when he'd stay on too long, when his guard would drop. In the end, the person who destroyed Pablo Escobar wasn't an enemy. It was one of his own killers, choosing survival over loyalty.
El Chapo was once the richest and most powerful man in Mexico.
And El Chapo's still alive. Stuck in the mix like a bitch. Let's go this way or the other way. Are you telling me Korean women are that fake? Ain't no way.
Tropicana Casino, April 2011. Tropicana Casino, Atlantic City. You are watching a man in a hoodie betting $100,000 per hand at blackjack. He has been playing for 12 hours straight. Security cameras are on him. Pit bosses are watching. Everyone is nervous. He is not counting cards, not cheating, just winning. Hour after hour, hand after hand, midnight, pit boss approaches.
Sir, would you like a break?
No thanks. He keeps playing. 1 a.m., gets 2 8s, splits them. $200,000 on the table, wins both hands. The crowd watching erupts. 2 a.m. He stands up. I'm done. They count his chips. $5.8 million profit. 1 session. The largest loss in Tropicana history. His name is Don Johnson. In 6 months, he won $15 million from 3 Atlantic City casinos. All legal. All documented. But how? How do you win $15 million without counting cards? The answer started 6 months earlier, when casinos made their biggest mistake. Atlantic City, New Jersey, 2008. Atlantic City casinos are dying, not slowly, quickly. In 2006, Atlantic City casino revenues were $5.2 billion. The best year ever. Money was flowing. High rollers were everywhere. Tables were full. Slots were ringing. Then 2008 hits, the financial crisis. The economy collapses. The stock market crashes. People stop gambling. Why risk money at a casino when you are losing money everywhere else? But that is not the only problem. Pennsylvania legalizes casinos. Suddenly, people in Philadelphia do not need to drive to Atlantic City anymore. They can gamble locally, closer, easier, cheaper. By 2010, Atlantic City revenues have dropped to $3.3 billion, down nearly $2 billion in 4 years. Casinos are panicking. Some are closing. Some are firing staff. Some are cutting costs everywhere. But cutting costs does not bring in revenue. You need players, big players, high rollers, whales. Problem. High rollers have options now. Vegas, Macau, Pennsylvania, even online. Why come to Atlantic City? Casino marketing departments go into overdrive, calling their lists, offering deals, trying to lure big spenders back. Standard offers like free hotel suites, free meals, free show tickets, private jets, and limos are everywhere. For high rollers, these aren't special anymore. Casinos need something different, something bigger, something that actually moves the needle. Some casinos start offering loss rebates. This isn't new. Las Vegas has done it for years. but Atlantic City has been conservative and careful following the rules. However, desperate times call for desperate measures. A loss rebate works like this. If you lose a certain amount, the casino gives you back a percentage, usually 10%, sometimes 15%. Example.
It's time to unleash the inner you.
Keep taking my hand out to bro.
You lose $100,000. The casino gives you back $10,000. You only lost $90,000 net. It sounds generous. It sounds like the casino is being nice. But mathematically, the casino still has the edge. They are just making less profit, not losing money. At least, that is what they think. Tropicana, Borgata, and Caesars all start offering these deals, competing with each other and trying to outbid each other for high rollers. They have a list of known high-stakes players, people who have played before, people with money, people willing to bet big. One name on that list is Don Johnson. Don Johnson isn't a celebrity, a tech billionaire, or a hedge fund manager. He is a professional gambler of sorts. He runs a company called Heritage Development that develops computer-assisted wagering programs for horse racing. Before that, he managed Philadelphia Park Racetrack and was a state gaming regulator in Oregon, Idaho, Texas, and Wyoming. In other words, he knows the gambling industry inside and out. He understands the math, the rules, and how casinos operate. Most importantly, he knows how to negotiate. Late 2010, Don Johnson's phone rings. The caller ID shows a 609 area code, Atlantic City.
Mr. Johnson, this is Tropicana Atlantic City. We have a special offer for our premium players. Would you be interested in discussing some very favorable terms?
Don listens. He doesn't commit. He takes notes. The next day, another call. This time, Borgata.
Mr. Johnson, we understand you're a sophisticated player. We'd like to offer you an exclusive arrangement, better than anything else in Atlantic City.
Don listens again. More notes. The day after, Caesars calls.
Mr. Johnson, we're prepared to offer terms that we've never offered anyone before. We want your business.
3 casinos, all competing, all desperate, all offering deals. Don Johnson doesn't respond immediately. He doesn't jump at the offers or get excited. Instead, he does something smart and careful that will change everything. He calls a mathematician. Actually, multiple mathematicians, PhD-level experts in probability theory who understand gambling math at the deepest level.
I need you to run some numbers for me. I'm going to give you some conditions. I need to know the exact edge, mine and theirs.
The mathematicians get to work. Don provides the details. 6-deck blackjack. Dealer stands on soft 17. Double down on any 2 cards. Resplit aces allowed. Late surrender allowed. Maximum bet, $100,000 per hand. Loss rebate, 20% on losses over $500,000. The mathematicians get to work with computer simulations, probability models, and expected value analysis. Days pass. Don waits. Finally, the phone rings.
Mr. Johnson, we've run the numbers. Multiple times. Different scenarios, different strategies.
And?
With these conditions, especially the 20% loss rebate, you have the edge.
Say that again.
You have the edge, not them. If you play optimally, quit at the right times, manage your sessions correctly,
You will make money, consistently. The house edge is eliminated, actually reversed. How much edge? Depends on how you play it. But conservatively, you could make $175,000 per day, just from the mathematical advantage.
Don Johnson smiles. For the first time in this whole process, he smiles. The casinos made a mistake. A huge mistake. They got the math wrong. They thought a 20% loss rebate still left them with an edge. They were wrong. But here is the catch. He needs all 3 casinos to agree. If only one signs, he makes maybe 2 million. Not enough. If 2 sign, he makes 5 to 6 million. Better, but risky. He needs all 3. 15 million potential, life-changing money. But casinos talk to each other. They share information and blacklist players. If one says no and warns the others, the whole plan collapses. Don has 1 shot, 3 phone calls, 3 negotiations. Can he convince all 3, or will they smell the trap?
Interesting.
Atlantic City, December 2010. Don Johnson arrives at Tropicana for his first meeting. He is not dressed like a high roller, no expensive suit, no gold watch, no flashy jewelry, gray hoodie, jeans, baseball cap. Looks like a regular guy, a nobody. This is intentional. This is part of the strategy. High rollers usually want attention, want recognition, want the casino to know they're important, want the VIP treatment. Don wants them to underestimate him, to think he is unsophisticated, to think he is just a guy with money who likes to gamble.
Shout out, let's get some subs up.
Rover! Rover! Here! Come here, boy!
The casino host greets him.
Mr. Johnson, welcome to Tropicana. Let's discuss your playing arrangement.
They sit in a private office. Contract on the table. The host outlines the offer. 20% loss rebate on any session where you lose $500,000 or more. 6-deck blackjack with favorable rules. Maximum bet $100,000 per hand. Requirement: $1 million front money deposit.
Sounds good,
Don says casually.
But I'd like to adjust a few things.
What did you have in mind?
First, I want the dealer to stand on soft 17, not hit.
The host thinks. This is unusual. Most casinos have dealers hit soft 17. It gives the house a bigger edge. But if they want Don's business...
Okay, we can do that.
Second, I want to be able to resplit aces.
Again, unusual. Most casinos don't allow this.
We can accommodate that.
A third, I want late surrender available.
Done.
Don is asking for rule changes that reduce the house edge. Each one shaves off a tiny percentage. Separately, they seem minor. Together, they're significant. But the casino doesn't see the danger. They're focused on the $1 million front money, on the potential of Don losing big, on getting a whale to their tables. They think these rule changes are just preferences, like asking for a softer pillow in the hotel room. They don't realize these rules, combined with the 20% loss rebate, flip the edge entirely.
One more thing. The 20% rebate, I want it to apply per session, not per trip, not per month, per session.
The host pauses. This is important.
What do you mean?
I mean, if I lose $500,000 in one session, I get the rebate immediately. Then the counter resets. If I play again the next day, it's a fresh start.
The host calculates in his head, thinks this doesn't change much. If anything, it encourages Don to keep playing, keep coming back.
Agreed.
They sign the contract. Don deposits his $1 million front money. The deal is done. Next, Borgata. Same process, same requests, same rule changes, same 20% loss rebate structure. Borgata signs. Contract finalized. Then, Caesars. Same thing. Contract signed. 3 casinos. 3 identical deals. 3 massive mistakes. But there's one more element Don negotiates that nobody talks about publicly. Something he mentions in private conversations later. Something that pushes his edge even higher. Show up money. At least one casino, possibly all 3, agrees to pay Don $50,000 just for showing up to play. Cash, guaranteed, whether he wins or loses. Think about that. $50,000 just for walking through the door. Combined with the mathematical edge from the loss rebate and the favorable rules, Don's expected profit is now around $175,000 to $200,000 per day, and the casinos have no idea. They think they're signing a high roller who'll lose millions. They're actually signing a contract that guarantees he'll win. But Don can't just walk in and start winning immediately. That would be suspicious. That would trigger alarms. He needs to play it smart, play it slow. Let them think he's just getting lucky. December 2010. Time for the first session. Don chooses Caesars, walks in, casual, calm, deposits his front money, sits at the blackjack table. The plan: play until he's up $500,000 or down $500,000. Then stop. If he's up, he keeps the winnings. If he's down, he gets 20% back. Either way, the math is in his favor. He starts playing. $100,000 per hand. First hand, wins. Second hand, loses. Third hand, wins. Fourth hand, wins. After a few hours, he's up $400,000, close to his target. He keeps playing, careful, not greedy. Final hand of the session, wins. Total, up $450,000. He stops, cashes out, leaves. Caesar's pit bosses watch him go. They're not worried. $450,000 isn't that much for a high roller session. He'll probably lose it back next time. They have no idea this is just the beginning. 2 weeks later, Don returns to Caesars. Same strategy. Play until up or down $500,000. This session, he gets hot. Really hot. Cards falling perfectly. Winning hand after hand. Within a few hours, up $600,000. He could keep going. Press his advantage. But that would be greedy. That would be suspicious. He stops at $600,000. Cashes out. Caesars is starting to notice.
This guy's on a lucky streak.
But lucky streaks happen. Variance is normal. They'll get it back eventually. Except they won't. January 2011. Don moves to Borgata. Same deal. Same strategy. Same result. Wins $500,000. Stops. Leaves. Returns a week later. Wins $700,000. Stops. Leaves. Borgata is watching now.
Is he counting cards?
Security reviews footage. No evidence of counting. Just a guy playing basic strategy and getting lucky. February 2011. Back to Caesars. Wins $800,000. Their total losses to Don, over $2 million now. Caesars management is getting nervous.
Should we cut him off?
But the contract is clear. They can't cut him off without cause. And he's not cheating, not breaking any rules. March 2011. Don returns to Borgata. This session is different. This session, he loses. Down $300,000. Down $500,000. Down $800,000. Pit bosses are relieved.
Finally, he's giving it back.
Don stops at $800,000 loss. Cashes out, sort of. According to his contract, he gets 20% back.
It's like 80K.
800,000 multiplied by 20% equals a $160,000 rebate. Net loss, only $640,000. But here's the thing. Over his previous Borgata sessions, he's up $1.2 million. Even with this loss, he's still up over $500,000 at Borgata total. And he's building credibility. They saw him lose. Now they think he's just a gambler. Win some, lose some, normal. They have no idea he's executing a mathematically perfect strategy. April 2011. Time for the big one. Don chooses Tropicana for his largest session yet. He's been building to this, setting it up, making sure they trust him, making sure they think he's just lucky. Now he's ready to go all in.
What happened in those 12 hours changed everything. But before we get there, if you are enjoying this story, please subscribe to our channel. I would really appreciate your support. Now, let us continue.
Premiership matches, you have to go back to the end of September in a 1-0 win against Puluwani City as they get it in now. You look Kelly.
April 2011, Tropicana Casino, 10 a.m. Don Johnson sits down. 6-deck shoe, hand shuffled. First bet, $100,000. First hand, blackjack, natural 21. Wins $150,000. Second hand, wins $100,000. Two hands, $250,000 ahead. Pit boss watches, normal variance. Happens sometimes, but Don keeps winning. Not every hand, but more than he loses. 1 p.m., 3 hours in. Up $1.2 million. Crowd gathering. People watching, whispering. Security reviewing cameras. Looking for card counting. Dealer collusion. Anything. Nothing. He is just winning. 3 p.m., 5 hours. Up $2.1 million. Management panics.
This can't be luck.
Game protection experts review footage. Conclusion.
Perfect basic strategy. No counting. No advantage play we recognize.
6 p.m., 8 hours. Up $3.8 million. Pit boss approaches.
Would you like a break? Dinner?
Don knows what this is. They want him to stop.
No thanks. Let's keep playing.
They cannot force him to stop. The contract says he can play as long as he wants. They are stuck. 9 p.m., 11 hours. Up $5.2 million. CEO called in. Watches from the security room.
Get me our mathematicians. Is this deal positive expectation for the player?
But it is too late. Don is still playing. Still winning. 10 p.m., 12 hours. Don dealt 2 8s. Dealer showing 6. Splits them. $200,000 on the table. First 8 gets 3. Doubles down. $300,000 now. Gets 10. 21. Second 8 gets 2. Doubles again. $400,000 total. Gets 9. 19. Dealer flips. 6 plus 6. Hits. King. Busts. Don wins $400,000 on a single hand. The crowd erupts. Total now, $5.8 million profit. Don stands.
I'm done. Cash me out.
They count chips, double check, triple check. $5.8 million. Single session, single day. Tropicana's largest loss ever. Don walks out. Quiet, calm, no celebration. Behind him, management is in crisis. They call other casinos.
Has this guy been winning from you too?
Borgata.
$5 million from us.
Caesars.
$4 million.
Total, $15 million. One player, 6 months. All legal, all documented, all paid. And if you think this is a perfect mathematical scheme to win $15 million, you are wrong. Because casinos do not like losing. Especially $15 million. Rumors start spreading. Casinos consulting lawyers, reviewing contracts, looking for loopholes. They are considering legal action, want their money back. All of it. Their reasoning. This was not fair play. This was exploitation. Don did not cheat, did not count cards, did not break any rules. But casinos believe something different. They believe casinos are allowed to use math to take your money. That is business. That is legal. That is how gambling works. But when you use math to take theirs, that is suspicious. That is wrong. That is grounds for a lawsuit. They spend billions designing games where they always win, legally. But when one player designs a strategy where he wins, legally, suddenly the rules do not matter. Suddenly the contracts do not matter. Suddenly casinos want courts involved. Don has $15 million in his account. But lawyers are circling. Can he keep it? Or will casinos find a way to take it all back?
This is crazy.
May 2011, 1 month after the wins, Tropicana fires CEO Mark Giannantonio, blamed for approving the contract. All Atlantic City casinos cancel high roller rebate programs immediately. New policy. Loss rebates capped at 10%. Forever. Don banned worldwide. Atlantic City, Las Vegas, Macau, every major casino. But bigger question remains. Is what he did legal? New Jersey Division of Gaming Enforcement investigates. Reviews footage. Contracts. Everything. Conclusion. Completely legal. No cheating. No card counting. He played within negotiated rules. Casinos threaten lawsuits anyway. Lawyers review contracts looking for loopholes. Tropicana threatens. Borgata threatens. Caesars considers action. Don's lawyer responds, "No laws broken. You offered the terms. If you sue, we countersue. You will lose." Weeks pass, rumors spread, lawyers circle, then silence. Casino lawyers realize the truth. No legal grounds. Contracts ironclad. Don broke no rules. They back down. All three. No lawsuits filed. Don keeps all $15 million. Legally, permanently. Casinos spent decades teaching people one rule. The house always wins. Don Johnson just proved them wrong.
That's crazy though. Niggas wanted to sue the boy because he kept winning, bro. Isn't that crazy?
You, just you, building your app on Base 44. Describe it. And it's real. One thought.
It's September 9th, 2001. British host Chris Tarrant welcomes 8 contestants to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. They're all eager to get rich, but to sit on the hot seat, you have to win fastest finger first.
Put these words in the order they occur in the title of the Agatha Christie thriller. Nile on Death the.
The correct answer is Death on the Nile.
All these were correct. Most of them, nearly all of them. Who was fastest? Charles Ingram in 3.97. That's so fast.
Major Charles Ingram has been a contestant twice before. Now he finally gets his chance. Confidently, he takes his place. But this confidence doesn't last long. Ingram is often unsure of his answers. After just 7 out of 15 questions, he merely has 1 of his 3 jokers left. But somehow he manages to answer correctly again and again. And then the time has come. Just 1 more correct answer separates him from £1 million.
A number 1, followed by 100 zeros, is known by what name? Google, Megatron, Gigabit, Nanomole.
I don't think I've heard of a Google.
But seconds later, even though he never heard of a Google, he completely changes his guess.
I really do think it's a Google.
The tension in the studio is almost unbearable.
You just won $1 million!
Only 2 people managed to achieve that before him. An incredible run against all odds. Maybe too incredible. In fact, Major Charles Ingram cheated. He is quite possibly the biggest fraud who has ever been on television. He and his accomplices have been tried and convicted. Their heist has been publicized and fictionalized. Yet, to this day, they maintain their innocence.
We didn't do it. We really didn't cheat.
20 years later, there are still a lot of open questions. And behind Ingram's case lurks an even weirder story. One of an underground organization that systematically exploited the show for years. How did they do it? While Ingram is celebrating his victory in front of the camera, there's turmoil behind the scenes. The showrunners are sussed out. A sound technician already called their CEO Paul Smith while Ingram was still answering questions. Smith told him to keep the show going. Ingram receives a check with his winnings from Tarrant. But the check is retained by Celador, the company behind the show, for 8 days for processing. In the meantime, Smith and the technicians look back at their material. Ingram often seemed to have no clue, really. How did this guy, after being left with one joker at £4,000, snatch the million? The probability of just guessing a 1 in 4 7 times in a row plus a 1 in 2 is 0.003%. No way, right? They look at his speech pattern when thinking about his answers.
Craig David, I just can't. I don't think I've never heard of Craig David, to be honest.
There's something interesting happening here. No matter the question, Ingram goes through all 4 possible answers, often chronologically, repeatedly.
Emmental is a cheese from which country?
It could be France, I suppose. Then again, it could be Italy, so... or maybe it's the Netherlands.
Right. Yes. That's sort of how the question works, Charles.
No, I got it.
That in itself might still be quite normal behavior. It seems fairly rational to go one by one if you're not sure. But then...
Who was the second husband of Jacqueline Kennedy? Adnan Khashoggi, Ronald Reagan, Aristotle Onassis, Rupert Murdoch.
Okay, I'm not certain. I would have thought that it would be Aristotle Onassis.
Why?
Wait, someone coughed just now at the correct option.
Aristotle Onassis.
Aristotle Onassis was indeed married to Kennedy. Huh. And then it happens again.
But the reason I think it's cricket is because
and again.
I think it was Holbein.
The studio obviously has cameras and mics for the candidate and the show host, but it also has cameras and mics pointed at the audience for reaction shots. The technicians start looking at what's happening in the crowd while Ingram is reading out the options. Who is coughing? And always at the right time.
Which American platform was founded in 2012 and is known for its creative and interactive online lessons? A. Biscuit. B. Bilingual. C. Bicycle. D. Brilliant.
You already know it. Brilliant is a great way to learn new skills across a variety of subjects like math, programming, and artificial intelligence. You can choose between thousands of interactive lessons without ever feeling bored or overwhelmed. You can customize your content to fit your needs and work through the exercises at your own pace. For example, there's a course on statistical Brilliant has to offer free for a full 30 days. 18 million people tuned in, a third of the entire population. People were obsessed with it. That was also the case with Charles Ingram and his wife Diana. Her brother Adrian Pollock had been on the show 4 times before, on the hot seat once, and won £32,000. A few months later, she managed to get on the hot seat and won £32,000 as well.
So I remember talking to her in the bar afterwards, and I said, "Great, congratulations." She said, "Only 32. And I said to her, "It's a huge amount of money." She went, "Yes, but I should have done more. I should have beaten my brother and all this."
Mind you, it is incredibly difficult to get a spot on this show. Thousands, if not millions of people try. The selection process is brutal, but this family managed to get in over and over again. They knew the system inside out and how to play it. Adrian even had a mock-up fastest finger first console at home. He and Diana wanted to publish a book with tips on how to get on the show. But as it turns out, they were not the only ones who knew the system. And some were a lot better at exploiting it.
This medieval war strategy game is absolutely massive. You'll be dropped randomly into the world.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is not broadcast live and has a set runtime. So when Charles finally gets his shot, filming stops for the day after the £4,000 question.
And I remember us saying, "God, that poor bloody Major, you know, he's got as much chance of getting the 32,000, you know, as going to the moon in a rocket." I mean, there was just no way this guy could possibly go much further.
Ambitious Diana is frustrated with Charles. That would make sense, because Charles is a smart man. He holds university degrees in engineering and management and will later be accepted by Mensa. That evening, As the couple is on their way home on the M4, their frustrations likely intensify as they dwell on the opportunity for immense wealth slipping away right from under their grasp. They will not let that happen. Diana and Charles call Tequin Wittock. He's a Welsh college lecturer and fellow game show enthusiast. Adrian and Diana have been training Tequin and helping him to get on the show. He's supposed to be a candidate tomorrow, so he will be in the studio. Charles, Diana, and Tequin are on the phone for 5 minutes. They supposedly devise a very simple, yet effective plan. Charles reads out the answers. Whoever knows the answer coughs when it comes up.
Have you got a strategy? Well, I have actually. I have got a strategy. I was a bit defensive on the last show. You know, I sort of started talking myself out of answers that, frankly, I should have known and did know. So this time I'm going on the counterattack.
This counterattack obviously works. Though he repeatedly says he has no idea or never heard of certain options, he goes on to 180 pivot seconds later.
Craig David, I just can't. I don't think I've never heard of Craig David, to be honest. I've just never heard of Craig David, so... No, I'll go Craig David. Yeah.
You just won £32,000.
I don't think it's Paris. I think it's Berlin. I'm going to go for Paris.
You thought it was Berlin, Berlin, Berlin. You changed your mind to Paris. That brought you 500,000.
I don't think I've heard of a Google. I don't actually know what a Google is, but I really do think it's a Google.
You just won 1 million!
Back behind the scenes, a total of 192 coughs have been recorded by the microphones in the studio. A lot of them when a correct answer was mentioned. Paul Smith is confident this can't be a coincidence and calls the police. Later, he makes another call.
Mr. Ingram, we didn't meet. I am the managing director of Celador.
Right.
I think I should just get straight to the point.
Yep.
And effectively say what is a pre-prepared statement here. I have to tell you that we have suspicions from viewing the recording of last Monday's program and subsequently studying the tapes carefully that there were irregularities during the taping of the show in which you participated.
Oh, good Lord, no.
Because of that, I have to tell you that these suspicions have been referred to the police.
Right.
And thus, we, for not for the moment, will be airing the program or indeed authorizing payment of the check.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I completely refute that, obviously. Good Lord, I'm absolutely gobsmacked. All right, well, thanks for letting me know.
Okay, thank you.
Cheers, bye.
1.5 years later, the case went to trial. It quickly turned into a tabloid frenzy. The story of major fraud was just too sensational. In the end, all 3 defendants were found guilty. 2 documentaries were made. The Ingrams never accepted the verdict.
We didn't cheat on that show. There was no plan to cheat on that show. I won that money perfectly honestly and fairly and squarely, and while I was sitting there in the center of the studio, I did not notice any coughing at all. I was entirely unaware of it. As for the victims, I've heard a lot of people say that this is a victimless crime. Well, actually, there are victims. The 3 defendants were the victims. We should not have been found guilty on the evidence that was presented in court. We were found guilty on a very good story.
Why did you cough then, Diana? I think I needed to clear my throat.
The coughs were just coincidental, according to them. Wittock suffered from a persistent cough all his life. The coughing footage presented in the court had been edited by Celador to accentuate the coughs. Also, why would 3 intelligent people not come up with a smarter way to cheat? At least code the coughs. If the answer is C, cough on D, and so on. Wittock, who supposedly coughed 19 times to hint at the correct answers, flopped when he was in the hot seat. Why was he so all-knowing when supposedly helping Charles? And why would he join such a scheme? How could he have made sure he actually got his share of the money? And perhaps most importantly, was coughing in the audience even audible on stage?
People cough like mad. Everybody's coughing in the studio because they're sort of enclosed or whatever. I had no idea. There was so much noise in the studio that night. It was like a madhouse. People were screaming, they were cheering.
The 2014 book Bad Show casts a lot of doubts on the trial. Similarly did the show Quiz. But, playing the devil's advocate, wouldn't Wittock's chronic illness also be a brilliant cover? If he was just a man who coughed constantly, who would suspect these coughs to be hints? Simple, yes, but also brilliantly hiding in plain sight. More generally, how likely is it that 19 significant coughs...
The reason I think
are just a coincidence? Liam Shaw made a fascinating statistical analysis to answer this very question.
I remembered the case from when I was a child, and I was very interested in the statistics of the unlikeliness of the coughing coming after the correct answers. So I wanted to investigate that for myself, and so I just attempted to do that because it was lockdown and I couldn't leave the house. So I found a way to entertain myself, basically.
The chance for Wittock's 19 coughs to be coincidental within the time frame the show was filmed is incredibly low, if these were his only coughs.
And say that half of all of those 192 coughs were Tequin Wittock, then in the statistical trials that I ran, I found that the probability of getting at least 19 coughs would be about 8%.
This ignores the fact that Diana likely too coughed at significant moments.
The analysis I did was just for fun and it's quite silly, but what it convinced me of is that there's no real dispute about the fact that there is some sort of association between coughs and correct answers.
Looking at Shaw's math, the coughs were probably not random. But this clearly was a case of trial by media. According to the New York Times, the actual trial should have been a lot more extensive and critical. They are not sure if there would have been enough evidence to prove guilt. And just as the Ingrams were in the spotlight, another group quietly gamed the show for years. Paddy Spooner was the first person to appear on multiple versions of the show. He won $250,000 in Australia, £250,000 in the UK, and 1,000 euros in Ireland. He knew how to get on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and made no secret of it.
Well, in England, 7 million people phone in. I worked out the population's a lot smaller, and given that most people wait until they've watched the programme before phoning in, so I made my calls in one evening.
215 in one evening?
Yeah, I'm a pretty boring bloke.
His runs were ice cold, focused, with confident, decisive answers.
The last convicts transported from Britain arrived in Fremantle in which year?
1868.
A. 1848. B. 1858. C. 1868. D. 1878.
I'll play and I'll lock in C, 1868.
You had to go before you even came up, didn't you? All right, let's lock it in. Paddy, you won $250,000.
He dropped out of college and lived off of pub quizzes before going professional. After bombing on the Irish version, Spooner met Keith Burgess. Burgess had helped people to get on the show for a fee. They teamed up to take that business to the next level. Burgess and Spooner built an underground syndicate called the Consortium. They provided a service to reliably get people on the show and to maximize their winnings.
April 2011, Tropicana Casino, Atlantic City. You are watching a man in a hoodie betting.
Over you, the things you do. She said you knew niggas that are nervous. I don't want any if you guys are nervous. I'm not ashamed at all. She says you're my everything. I love you through everything. Are you still good? Are you still good? Are you still good? Are you still good?
Cave rescue cables. Sterkfontein Cave rescue cable snap tragedy. On a cold morning in South Africa, a rescue team gathered at the entrance to the Sterkfontein caves in Gauteng province. Deep below them,
Nigga, what? Gauteng? What the fuck is Gauteng, bro? Shout out Cold Edits. Bro, what the fuck is Gauteng? The fuck you mean it's Gauteng, bro? That's the worst pronunciation of Gauteng I've ever heard, bro. Gauteng.
Sterkfontein Cave Rescue Cable Snap Tragedy. On a cold morning in South Africa, a rescue team gathered at the entrance to the Sterkfontein Caves in Gauteng province. Deep below them, an injured caver was trapped at the bottom of a vertical shaft, unable to move or climb out on his own. The Sterkfontein cave system was famous for its ancient fossils and underground lakes, but it was also one of the most dangerous cave systems in the country. The vertical shafts inside the caves dropped straight down for dozens of meters, with jagged limestone walls on every side. Getting an injured person out of a shaft like that required heavy equipment, nerves of steel, and a plan that left no room for error. The rescue team had done this kind of work before. They were experienced, well-trained, and confident in their gear. Their plan was straightforward: strap the injured caver to a steel stretcher, attach the stretcher to a heavy-duty steel cable, and use a motorized pulley system to haul him straight up the shaft. The cable they were using was rated to handle thousands of pounds of weight. It had been inspected, certified, and used successfully on previous rescues without any problems. A team of support workers positioned themselves at different levels along the shaft to guide the stretcher and keep it from snagging on the rock walls. One of these support workers was a young man who had volunteered for some of the most dangerous rescue missions in the region. He stood on a narrow ledge part way up the shaft, ready to steady the stretcher as it passed his position. The injured caver was carefully loaded onto the stretcher and strapped in tightly. The cable was attached, the pulley motor was engaged, and the slow, careful lift began. The stretcher rose inch by inch, swinging gently as it cleared the first section of the shaft. The cable groaned under the weight, vibrating slightly as it stretched taut between the stretcher and the pulley above. Everyone held their breath as the stretcher climbed higher, passing the halfway point of the shaft. Then, without any warning, the cable reached its breaking point. The steel wire snapped with a sound like a gunshot echoing off the cave walls. When a cable under thousands of pounds of tension breaks, it does not simply fall, it becomes a supersonic whip. The broken end of the cable recoiled through the shaft at a speed faster than the human eye could follow. In less than 1 second, the loose cable struck the young support worker standing on the ledge. The impact hit him across the torso with the force of a speeding car. He was thrown off the ledge and slammed into the rock wall behind him before anyone could even process what had happened. There was no time to shout a warning, no time to duck, and no time to move out of the way. The entire event, from the snap to the impact, was over in less than a heartbeat. Other team members scrambled to reach him, but when they got to his body, they knew immediately that it was too late. The cable had caused catastrophic internal trauma. His ribs were shattered and his organs had been destroyed by the force of the impact. He was dead before his body hit the ground. The stretcher carrying the injured caver had dropped back down the shaft when the cable broke, but miraculously the caver survived the fall with additional injuries. The rescue was eventually completed hours later using backup equipment, and the injured caver was brought to the surface alive.
Awaken to a world of wonder in Final Fantasy XIV Online. Take it easy and play your way.
Woodville Karst Plane Bad Air Pocket Death. On a humid morning in the summer of 1999, a man named Hayden drove down a dirt road through the swamps of northern Florida. He was heading toward a remote spring entrance hidden in the forest near Tallahassee, a gateway to one of the largest underwater cave systems in America. The system was called the Woodville Karst Plain, and it stretched for over 22 miles beneath the swamps, forests, and farmland of the region. Hayden was an experienced open water diver and a member of an elite Air Force rescue team trained for the most dangerous missions imaginable. He had dived in oceans, lakes, and rivers all over the world, and he was confident in his abilities. But today he was doing something he had never been properly trained for: diving alone into a flooded limestone cave. He had no cave diving certification, no guideline reel, and no specialized cave diving lights. What he did have was a camera strapped to his gear, a full tank of air, and a desire to see what was hiding in the darkness below. Hayden slipped into the cool, clear water of the spring and began his descent into the cave system. The entrance opened into a wide tunnel of pale limestone, and the visibility was extraordinary. He could see dozens of meters ahead. He kicked deeper, following the natural shape of the passage as it curved and narrowed beneath the earth. The ceiling above him was not smooth. It was full of hollows, dips, and uneven pockets carved out of the soft rock over millions of years. In many of these hollows, small pockets of trapped gas sat above the waterline like invisible bubbles pressed against the ceiling. Some of these pockets contained safe, breathable air left behind by previous divers or natural processes. But others were filled with dangerously high concentrations of carbon dioxide or hydrogen sulfide that had seeped from the limestone and the water below. From underwater, there was absolutely no way to tell the difference between a safe pocket and a deadly one. They looked exactly the same. A small dark space above the surface where a diver could lift their head and take a breath. As Hayden swam through a narrow tunnel about 3 meters below the surface, he spotted one of these air pockets above him. To any diver, an air pocket looks like a gift. A chance to breathe real air without using your tank supply. Hayden rose toward the ceiling, lifted his face above the waterline, and pulled the breathing regulator out of his mouth. His camera was still recording, capturing everything in sharp detail. He took one breath of the gas trapped inside the pocket. There was no coughing, no choking, no warning of any kind. The concentration of carbon dioxide in that pocket was far above 10%, high enough to shut down a human brain in a single inhalation. Scientists call it CO2 narcosis. At those levels, the gas does not make you gasp for air. It simply switches your consciousness off like a light. Hayden's eyes rolled back. His body went completely limp, and he slid away from the air pocket without a sound. His camera recorded him falling in slow motion through the water, sinking toward the floor of a tunnel barely 1 meter wide. His body came to rest at the bottom of the passage, directly beneath the pocket that had killed him. He did not twitch, he did not struggle, and he never moved again. From the moment he removed his regulator to the moment his heart stopped, less than 60 seconds had passed. When recovery divers found Hayden's body days later, they checked his equipment and found something haunting. His air tank still held 170 bars of perfectly good breathing gas, more than enough to complete the dive and return safely to the surface. El Tancon Sea Cave, Drowning Tragedy. In August of 2021, a 33-year-old woman named Jasmine Ben Ali arrived in Tenerife for a summer vacation. She had traveled from Switzerland to enjoy the sun, the beaches, and the volcanic beauty of the Canary Islands. On one of her first days on the island, she joined 2 friends for a trip along the western coastline near the town of Puerto Santiago. They had seen photos online of a hidden sea cave with crystal clear turquoise water glowing between black volcanic walls. The place was called El Tancon, and the pictures made it look like a secret paradise tucked beneath the rocks. When they arrived, the sea appeared calm, and the water inside the cave looked perfectly still. There were signs posted at the entrance warning that swimming was completely forbidden. But other people were already in the water, and everything seemed safe. Jasmine and her friends climbed down the rocks and slipped into the cool, clear water of the cave. What none of them understood was that El Tancon was not a natural pool. It was a volcanic blowhole connected directly to the open Atlantic Ocean. Beneath the surface, a maze of underwater tunnels and passages linked the cave to the sea outside. When an ocean swell pushes into these tunnels, it creates what scientists call the piston effect. The incoming wave compresses the air inside the cave like a giant pump being forced down. In under 10 seconds, the water level can rise from waist deep all the way to the ceiling. A person caught inside is slammed against the jagged volcanic rock with thousands of pounds of crushing force. Then, just as fast, the water reverses direction and sucks everything back out through the tunnels like a drain being pulled open. The most terrifying thing about El Tancon is that the sea does not even need to be rough for this to happen. A single large swell rolling in from miles out in the Atlantic is enough to trigger the deadly compression. Local experts say you cannot read the danger at this cave unless you have spent years studying the water. On that August day, the sea looked peaceful on the surface, and Jasmine had no reason to be afraid. Then, without any warning, a powerful ocean swell surged into the cave from the tunnels below. The water inside the cave erupted into a violent, churning whirlpool in an instant. Jasmine and her friends were thrown around like rag dolls as the water slammed them against the rock walls. The force pulled all 3 of them beneath the surface and dragged them toward the underwater passages. Her friend Giovanni Rodriguez, a 27-year-old Italian man who lived on the island, was sucked deep into the tunnels and never resurfaced. The third member of the group was somehow thrown clear and pulled to safety with only minor injuries. Jasmine was dragged through the violent current but was eventually reached by rescuers who pulled her from the water. She was unconscious and in critical condition, her body battered from being slammed against the lava rock. She was rushed to the Nuestra Senora de la Candelaria hospital, where doctors fought to save her life. But the damage to her body was too severe. Jasmine died the following day from cardiorespiratory arrest. Giovanni's body was found the next morning, floating lifeless in the water just outside the cave entrance. 2 young lives were gone in under 60 seconds, taken by a cave that had looked like paradise just moments before. Blue Hole Yuri Lipsky death. On April 28, 2000, diving instructor Yuri Lipsky arrived at the Blue Hole in Egypt. The Blue Hole is a massive underwater sinkhole in the Red Sea. While it is technically a sinkhole, the ceiling and walls create a cave-like environment. The Blue Hole is one of the most dangerous dive sites in the world. Hundreds of divers have died in this location over the years. Yuri Lipsky was an experienced diving instructor who knew the risks. He decided to attempt what divers call a bounce dive. A bounce dive means descending rapidly to extreme depth and returning quickly. Lipsky planned to dive alone to the bottom of the Blue Hole. The bottom was over 295 feet deep. He carried a handheld camera to record his dive. Lipsky entered the water and began his rapid descent into the blue abyss. The camera recorded his view as he dropped deeper and deeper. The walls of the sinkhole surrounded him on all sides like a cave. As he descended past 165 feet, the danger zone began. At extreme depth, nitrogen in a diver's air supply becomes toxic to the brain. This condition is called nitrogen narcosis, and it feels like being drunk. Divers with nitrogen narcosis cannot think clearly or make good decisions. They become confused, disoriented, and unable to judge danger properly. Lipsky continued descending rapidly past 230 feet, then 260 feet. The camera shows he was dropping far too fast for a safe dive. By the time he reached over 295 feet, the nitrogen narcosis had taken full effect. His brain was severely impaired by the toxic nitrogen in his blood. At the bottom of the Blue Hole, Lipsky realized something was terribly wrong. The camera captured his frantic movements as panic set in. He tried desperately to inflate his buoyancy compensator device. The buoyancy compensator is a vest that helps divers float back to the surface. But Lipsky was too confused and disoriented to operate his equipment correctly. His hands fumbled with the controls as the nitrogen narcosis clouded his mind. The footage shows his breathing becoming rapid and panicked. Every breath at that extreme depth consumed his limited air supply faster. Lipsky tried over and over to inflate the vest and rise from the bottom. But his impaired brain could not coordinate the simple actions needed. Time was running out as his air supply dropped critically low. The camera recorded his movements becoming slower and weaker. Eventually, Yuri Lipsky collapsed on the seafloor at over 295 feet deep. He'd lost consciousness from the combination of nitrogen narcosis and air depletion. Yuri Lipsky died alone on the bottom of the Blue Hole. His body was recovered days later along with his handheld camera. The camera had recorded every moment of his final dive.
Stand a chance to win your share of 400,000 Rand in prizes with Stimroll. T's and C's apply.
Today, we will be looking at 14 horrifying caving stories that went horribly wrong. Each story starts with confidence, but ends in chaos. One wrong turn, one mistake, one moment underground, and everything turns into unimaginable terror. As always, viewer discretion is advised. On April 12, 1980, Vortex Springs in Florida was packed with divers. It was the kind of spring weekend that cave divers dream about. clear weather, good visibility, and about 50 divers from across the Southwest who'd made the pilgrimage to explore one of Florida's most famous underwater cave systems. Among them were 4 friends from Texas: Point Tyner, Johnny Swan, and Martin B. Skaggs, all 24 years old. They were joined by Bug D. Neal, 23. They were experienced enough to know what they were doing. They had their gear, they had their training, they had each other. And they were excited. This was Vortex Springs, a legendary dive site, the kind of place serious cave divers talk about with reverence and a healthy dose of fear. The 4 entered the water-filled cave as a group, descending together through the crystal-clear spring water into the limestone passages below. As they went deeper, following the permanent guideline that led into the cave system, the light faded. Their dive lights became their only vision. At approximately 250 feet, 76 meters from the entrance, they reached a stop sign, not a figurative warning, an actual stop sign, placed there deliberately by the cave owners. This was the farthest point recreational divers were supposed to penetrate. Beyond this point, the cave got more dangerous, more complex, more unforgiving. This was where you turned around if you weren't trained for serious cave diving. This was where you made the smart choice. The 4 Texans made a different choice. They decided to continue, but they knew they were going beyond their limits, so they did something that seemed reasonable at the time. They attached a thin line, something like twine, to use as their own guideline back. A way to make sure they could find their way out of the passages ahead. It seemed like a safety measure. It seemed like they were being careful. They kept going, paying out the thin line as they swam deeper into the cave, into passages that fewer divers had explored, into darkness that felt absolute and crushing. The passages beyond the stop sign were different, narrower in places. The rock walls pressed closer. The 4 moved in formation. The thin line trailed behind them, their lifeline back to safety, or so they thought. They checked their gauges periodically, air pressure dropping steadily. Still plenty left. Still time to explore a bit more. Just a little farther. The cave twisted and turned. Passages branched off into side tunnels. The permanent guideline had ended back at the stop sign. Out here, they were on their own, following their thin twine line and their instincts. At some point, maybe 100 feet, 30 meters beyond the stop sign, maybe more, one of them checked their air gauge and felt that first flutter of concern. They could use more air than expected. The dive was taking longer than planned, and they still had to swim back. A signal passed between them. Time to turn around. Time to head out. They turned, orienting themselves back toward the entrance, and reached for the thin line to follow it back. That's when things started to go wrong. Maybe someone's hand caught the line at an odd angle. Maybe it was already looped around a piece of equipment without them noticing. Maybe in the confined space of the passage, with 4 divers trying to maneuver in close proximity, the line got wrapped around someone's tank valve or regulator hose. Whatever the initial snag was, it didn't seem like a big deal at first, just a momentary catch, a small tangle. But when the diver tried to free themselves, pulling on the line, it didn't come loose, it pulled tighter. The others moved to help. In the narrow passage, they clustered together, their hands reaching for the line, trying to untangle it, trying to free their friend. But the line was thin and slippery, and in their concern, they weren't being careful about their own positioning. The line wrapped around a second diver's arm, then it caught on a third diver's fin. Someone checked their air gauge again. Lower now, noticeably lower. They needed to move. They needed to get out. The helpful, careful untangling stopped. The urgency increased, and that's when the panic started to creep in. That cold realization that they were tangled, they were running low on air, and they were 350 feet, 107 meters, from the entrance and passages they didn't know well. Some started breathing faster and all of them were nervous. They could see it happening. They checked their own gauges again. Still enough air, but for how long? How long would it take to get untangled? How long does it take to swim back? They started doing the math in their heads, and the numbers weren't good. All 4 were tangled now, not completely immobilized yet, but caught enough that every movement seemed to make it worse. The line was everywhere, looped around arms, twisted around legs, caught on tank valves, wrapped across masks. A spider web of thin twine that they'd created themselves, that they'd thought would guide them to safety, now turning into a trap. Visibility started to deteriorate. All the thrashing, all the movement was kicking up silt from the cave floor. The crystal clear water turned murky, then nearly opaque. The panic was spreading. You could feel it in the water, the erratic movements, the fast breathing, the desperate pulling and thrashing. They checked their air gauge one more time. The needle was deep into the red zone now. Reserve air, maybe 10 minutes left, maybe less with the panic breathing. They all knew it now. They might not make it out. Back outside, when the four failed to return, someone noticed. Other divers who'd entered after them came out and said they hadn't seen the Texas group exit.
Shout out to all the originators, original feed. Original now, I'm following your lead. Shout out to all the originators, original feed. Original now, I'm following your lead.
What sense?
Exiting. However it happened, by the time the sun was setting over Vortex Springs, it was clear something had gone wrong. The sheriff was notified. This wasn't just 4 overdue divers. This was a potential cave diving fatality, which meant bringing in specialized rescue divers who knew how to operate in that environment. Johnny Manuel was one of the rescue divers called in. He was experienced, had done recoveries before, knew Vortex Springs intimately. He geared up and entered the cave with his team, following the permanent guideline, moving past the stop sign at 250 feet, 76 meters, looking for any sign of the missing divers. They found them about 100 feet, 30 meters, beyond the stop sign, all 4 of them, dead. And when Manuel saw the scene, when his dive light illuminated what had happened to these 4 young men from Texas, he knew immediately this was going to be one of the worst recoveries he'd ever done. Manuel would later describe what he found in stark terms. They were in about as big a mess as I've ever seen. This thin line was all over them. Imagine it. 4 divers suspended in the water column or lying on the cave floor and wrapped around them, twisted through their equipment, tangled in their regulators and tanks and fins and hands, was that thin twine-like line they'd been using as a guideline. It was everywhere, looped around arms, twisted around legs, wrapped across masks. A spider web of panic made physical. Manuel could reconstruct what probably happened. At some point, something went wrong. Maybe they went too far, or someone's light failed, or they kicked up silt and lost visibility. Whatever the trigger, someone got tangled in that thin line. And when one person panicked, everybody panicked. In cave diving, panic is the killer. When you panic, you start breathing faster, using up your air supply even quicker. You start thrashing, making the situation worse. And if you're connected to other divers by a thin line that's getting tangled around everyone, your panic becomes their panic. It spreads like a contagion. And here's the detail that Manuel found most disturbing. They hadn't even tried to cut themselves out. Every single one of them had a knife. Cave divers carry knives specifically for situations like this. If you get tangled in a line, you cut the line. It's basic training. It's fundamental. But when Manuel examined the bodies, all 4 knives were still sheathed on their legs. Unused. Not even drawn. That told him everything about how quickly this went wrong, how completely the panic overwhelmed them. They were so far gone, so deep into terror and oxygen deprivation, that they didn't even think to reach for their knives. Or maybe they couldn't reach them through the tangle of lines. The rescue team worked to recover the bodies, carefully untangling the line, treating these 4 young men with the dignity they deserved, even though they were far beyond saving. It took hours. The multiple fatality at Vortex Springs in April 1980 added 4 more names to the already too long list of cave diving deaths, bringing the total at that single site to 24 victims till that day, a number that should have been impossible for one location. But it is what it is. At about 4 p.m. on Saturday, September 6th, 1985, Bart Hudson, 25, and David Hopingardner, 24, stood at the entrance to Airman's Cave on Barton Creek near Austin, Texas. It was still light out. They had plenty of time. This was just going to be a short visit, maybe an hour, maybe 2. Just a quick exploration to see what the cave was like, then back out before dark. Their wives knew where they were. Everything was planned. Everything was safe. They entered the cave, their lights cutting through the darkness, and the Texas Hill Country disappeared behind them as they walked into the limestone passages that honeycombed the area around Austin Airman's Cave. Wasn't one of the major show caves, but it had a reputation among locals. It was explorable. It was interesting. And it wasn't supposed to be particularly dangerous if you knew what you were doing. The passages twisted and turned. Some areas opened into larger rooms. Other sections narrowed down to crawls where you had to get on your hands and knees, or even your belly to squeeze through. The rock formations were beautiful. Flowstone and stalactites that had been forming for thousands of years. It was easy to lose track of time underground. Easy to keep pushing just a little bit farther to see what was around the next corner. At some point, maybe after an hour, maybe after 2, Hudson and David decided it was time to head back. They'd seen enough. Time to return to the entrance, to the surface, to daylight and fresh air, and their wives who were probably starting dinner, expecting them home soon. They turned around and started retracing their steps. Or, at least, they thought they were retracing their steps. Here's the thing about caves. They look different going out than they do going in. That passage you crawled through on the way in, where you were looking ahead at where you were going. On the way out, you're seeing the back wall, the angle is different, the shadows fall in different directions. A room that seemed obvious and straightforward when you entered it becomes confusing when you're trying to find which passage you came from. Hudson and David reached a junction, multiple passages branching off. Which one had they come from? They discussed it. One of them thought it was the passage on the left. The other thought it was the one on the right. They picked one. They kept moving. But the passage didn't look right. The formations seemed different. The ceiling height was wrong. They backtracked to the junction and tried a different passage. That one didn't look right either. Back to the junction. Try the third option. Time kept passing. Their confidence started eroding. They were lost. Not in the dramatic movie sense where you're miles from anywhere. They were lost in the most frustrating way possible. They knew the entrance was close, knew they couldn't be that far from it, but they just couldn't find it. They called out. Maybe someone would hear them. Maybe another explorer was in the system, but their voices just bounced back at them, offering no help. They tried to navigate systematically, to map out in their heads where they'd been, which passages they had already tried. But underground, without landmarks, without the sun or stars or any external reference points, it's easy to get turned around. What you think is a new passage might be one you explored 20 minutes ago. That junction you're standing at, have you been here before? It looks familiar, but don't they all look familiar after a while? Hours passed. 6 p.m. became 7 p.m., became 8 p.m. The sun set somewhere far above them. Not that they could tell. In a cave, it's always the same darkness, the same timeless feeling. But their lights were getting dimmer. Batteries don't last forever. And the reality of their situation was becoming increasingly clear. They were going to be here a lot longer than they'd planned. Meanwhile, above ground, their wives were getting worried. Hudson and David had said they'd be back before dinner. It was now well past dinner time. They weren't answering their phones. Not that phones worked underground, but still, there was no response. The wives drove out to Airman's Cave. The car was there. Their husbands had entered the cave hours ago and hadn't come out. They notified the authorities. The call went out. 2 spelunkers overdue at Airman's Cave. The police contacted Bill Russell, the person who had mapped the cave, who knew its passages better than almost anyone. Bill Russell assembled a search team, and they headed to the cave entrance. It was now late Saturday night, probably around midnight or later. Hudson and David had been underground for 8 hours, maybe more. The search team entered the cave, calling out names, their lights scanning the passages, looking for any sign of the missing men. Underground, Hudson and David heard the voices. They called back, trying to guide the searchers to their location. But sound in caves is deceptive. It bounces, echoes, seems to come from multiple directions at once. The searchers could hear Hudson and David, but couldn't immediately determine where they were. The search continued. The searchers worked through the passages methodically, following the sounds, calling out, getting responses, gradually zeroing in on the location of the two lost explorers. At about 2 a.m. Sunday morning, 10 hours after Hudson and David had entered the cave for what was supposed to be a short visit, the search team found them. Here's the detail that makes this story both tragic and almost darkly comic. Hudson and David were 30 feet from the entrance. 30 feet. That's about 3 car lengths. That's the distance from home plate to the pitcher's mound. They were so close to safety that if they'd been above ground, they could have thrown a rock and hit the entrance. For 10 hours, they'd been wandering in the darkness, trying passage after passage, junction after junction, convinced they were deep in the cave system, completely disoriented and lost. And they were less than 10 meters from where they'd started. The searchers led them out. The route was simple, direct, obvious once you knew which way to go. The two men emerged into the cool Texas night.
Babe, I'm obsessed with my new phone from Phony Yam.
It's actually Phone Yam.
Oh. It's like new phone, yum, right?
No.
Exhausted, embarrassed, but unharmed. Their wives were there, the rescue team was there, and Hudson and David had to face the reality of what had just happened. They'd gotten lost 30 feet from the entrance of a cave. They had only meant to explore briefly Bart Hudson.
It's called a day, y'all. It's called it's a day. It's called it's a day, y'all. I'ma see y'all soon.